it's certainly a fun time of year. If you like brackets, if you love college basketball, you don't even have to love college basketball because of the brackets. We love betting.
Exactly, yes.
At the end of the day. The Yannick Ngakoue fallout, what is left of it? How do we expand the conversation here on a Tuesday after we spent 2.5 hours talking about it yesterday? Well, the answer to it is, where does this go next for the Jags, for Calais Campbell, for other players? And if this is going to go south in terms of those kind of players, where it could even hit a rock bottom more than we even think it is in terms of, well, bad things going on and bad vibes with the Jags organization, if it's going to go that way, do you just rip it up? Do you just start over? Do you just clear some of the salary cap? Do you look toward the future, even though you have a coach that could be on a one-year deal and a GM that could be on a one-year deal? But it's about the health of the organization long term, and is the best interest to say, hey, we got to look more toward 21, 22, 23 instead of 2020. I know that's a dangerous way to look, especially in the NFL when things are supposed to be 8-8 and you can change in a heartbeat. But if things get so bad in terms of who they think they have, the culture, the feelings in that locker room, the feelings around town, like it kind of feels like it has been the last few months, is it best to kind of look further down the line and reset this thing instead of try to rescue it and chase it? Because chasing it gets you in trouble sometimes. How about the mic'd up baseball players yesterday in the Cubs game?
That was cool.
Everybody's talking about it. When was the last time everybody was talking about a spring training baseball game that didn't involve a brawl or something of that sense?
Absolutely.
We're talking about baseball players mic'd up, and everybody loved it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and there's definitely a lot of good quotes to go around. I think was it Brian who quoted Rookie of the Year, where he's at, he's in deck and he's like, oh my god. Yeah, so like that was fantastic, man. And listen, we talked about it before on this show, and we saw it a little bit during the All-Star game this past year for the Major League Baseball and everything. But I just feel like, man, that's the all-access stuff that baseball needs. Now obviously this is spring training. People are a little more laid back and chill. I have a time believing it's going to be that entertaining once the Major League Baseball season actually starts. And then, taking to granted, too, a guy's having a bad game, and now all of a sudden maybe guys are cussing and things like that, because let's be honest, it's professional sports, and there's always some foul language in professional sports no matter what sport you play. So from the spring training aspect, it's definitely intriguing. The question is, can you go forward with it during the regular season?
Yeah, and obviously that's the big thing. Will you allow yourself to do it? Can you do it from time to time? Do you have to do it every game? I don't think so. But we've talked about it before. Can you get to the point where in all sports you're actually hearing the conversations? XFL has opened that up. I think MLB did that yesterday. Of course, players have been mic'd up in the NFL and even in the NBA and other sports for a while now. So we get that up-close look. Yesterday felt different. We'll talk about why it felt a little bit different. And it could be a couple of reasons, but I think there's one reason that's kind of subconscious to everything that has to do with the sport of baseball. That's a little special about baseball, maybe more so than even some of the other sports, that comes to life when people do that, at least in spring training. Maybe we see it on Sunday Night Baseball. Maybe we see it on some of the special broadcasts now. And is there a way to feasibly do it with guys still trying to go 100% and every game matters and every at-bat matters and all that stuff without being a distraction? We'll get to it. But it's certainly an interesting talking point coming out of a spring training game yesterday. And it was a fun watch. I joked around yesterday on Twitter. Kaylee DVRs the game. She's watching it back. I didn't even realize it was going on, except I saw the tweet on the Rizzo stuff where he said bang.
Yeah.
For the kind of ripping on the Astros a little bit.
Which was very prevalent. It was crazy how much they're ripping on the Astros, which, I mean, I guess it's obvious. But.
Yeah, and that was fun. Even that part, that was inside. It kind of shows you what they're talking about, what they're thinking about in there.
Absolutely.
But when I saw the mentality, everybody clicked on that tweet or that social media that went viral, that part of it. Mm-hmm. But if you watch the totality of the mic'd up segment, it was fantastic. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's stick with football. We love football. We talk football. We know you love football. And your conversations are welcome, 904-362-9901 throughout the day. I wanted to mention this about the Combine. We talked. I made fun of you a little bit yesterday because your draft board's all over the place now.
Sure.
I mean, I know you spent a lot of time on that draft board, too.
I did.
But
Absolutely.
That whiteboard has been erased.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What the heck is the whiteboard, man?
Dude, it's in the office, man. I gotta find time to get the markers or anything like that.
I'm going to buy markers today.
All right, go get markers, man. Let's do it.
Or how about by the time you come back next week, I'll buy markers.
Done.
But I did joke about the combine and sliding up and down, and I don't watch a lot of it because I don't want to be influenced by what I think is not nonsense, but I really think it's a small sliver of the pie in terms of anybody's evaluation. Not that I'm sitting there evaluating tape. I'm not one of those guys that evaluate tape.
Yeah.
But if I was, I would not be all over the combine for that. I've told you before, I think the medicals are valuable. I think the interviews are very valuable to find out what kind of player you want. But I guess my point, what I'm asking you is, do you think guys did slide around? Do you have a different feel of really what the Jags should get, how you feel like the Jags should go? Before the draft, when we were having this, before the combine, before we were having this discussion, and now Simmons, wow, oh my gosh, if he lands there, take him. He's such an athlete.
For sure.
Or Derek Brown, maybe not.
Well,
maybe not anymore. Or all these offensive linemen now go ahead of a defensive lineman potentially. How do you feel about it?
So I think from this perspective, obviously I knew Isaiah Simmons was a freak athlete. I didn't need to watch him. I didn't have to watch him run the 40-yard dash to know that the guy is a special, high talent caliber player. That's obvious. It jumps out on film. If you watched any Clemson football this year, that guy always showed up. So I didn't need to see any of Isaiah Simmons. If anything, he just reassured the fact that, yes, this guy's a freak in nature, and he's probably going to be one of the very first guys drafted. And then, from the Derek Brown perspective, I talked about yesterday a little bit. He's kind of the big name at defensive tackle. He had the worst three-cone drill since 2003 in his D-line group. And listen, I'm not going to make the mistake that I kind of made last year with DK Metcalf, because everyone was saying, well, this guy's 40-yard dash is insane, but his shuttle was so slow. How can he get in and out of his routes if the guy can't even run a shuttle? Well, DK Metcalf had a pretty dang good season last year, so once again, I said it before on the show, the three-cone drill I think shows a lot about what you have as a defensive lineman. J.J. Watt shot up draft boards because he had one of the best three-cone drills ever in his defensive tackle group. I think from Derek Brown's perspective, yes, it was a horrible number, but once again, you get a shot to make up for that at the pro day. So as far as Derek Brown's concerned, man, I've seen a lot of film on him, Brent, and the three-cone drill does not scare me whatsoever. Like with DK Metcalf last year, he had injuries, right? So we didn't really know what you're going to get with DK Metcalf. You kind of had to go by more of his combine numbers because, once again, he was plagued by injuries a little bit. Derek Brown, no. I mean, we've seen what he can do. He's probably the best three technique in the entire draft. So from that perspective, I'm not worried at all. And then when we talk about, obviously, the offensive line, there's a lot of hype around them right now. All of a sudden, now the depth's rising. Guys are jumping in the top 10 with all these freakish numbers. And once again, I think especially with the numbers there, I was talking about the guy from Iowa, Brent, and I was like, yeah, this Tristan Wirfs. The guy runs a 4.85. He's a prototypical left tackle. I mean, he's big. He's like 6'6", 320. He's a former high school wrestler. So, yeah, that stuff's all intriguing to me. But all I have to see is what he does on film, because I get it. You want an athletic guy who can pull. You want an athletic guy, like if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, who can do the screen game and everything like that. Not so much in Jacksonville because I haven't seen a screen like we've talked about since probably 2008. So from that perspective, the Jaguars don't really care. But, yeah, obviously you want a guy who's going to be good in space. But it comes down to how's their footwork in the drills, how's their hand placement, how's their punch. Those are the things, especially from an offensive lineman, that you really got to key in on. I don't care if an offensive lineman runs a 4.5 40, Brent, because when is an offensive lineman going to ever run 40 yards in a game? Probably not unless he's running on the field to celebrate with his teammates, right? So it's very rare. So from that perspective,
a Super Bowl.
Exactly. So from that perspective, listen, the Combine's showing us right now that the offensive linemen, they're as freakish as they've ever been, and that's fantastic. But I think we can't get too wrapped up in the numbers, especially from the offensive line position.
Let me piggyback my question to you. Do you think the Jags board changes based off the Combine performances? The interviews are different. The medicals are different. They now have more information than they've ever had on these guys. But based on, some numbers pop. Like, I think of Simmons.
Sure.
I think of a wide receiver. Some of these wide receivers in this draft where the Jags could go and try to go get themselves a bona fide number one or a complimentary wide receiver to DJ Chark. And if they want to build around a quarterback, go get him weapons. Why not? Go get him more weapons. And I think I just was listening to in the office before I came in, Charlie Casserly.
Okay.
And he was talking about Judy and comparing him or even having him better coming out of Bama than Julio Jones.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, again, it's one guy's response. I mean, listen, I'm not going to go crazy with it.
Yeah.
But if you feel that way about a receiver, to support what you're investing in, whether it's Foles or Minshew, and we believe it's Minshew, then would you try to do that instead? Because it starts moving your strength of your football team to the offensive side.
Sure.
So I think of a receiver like that that's super impressed that you might be able to go get at 9, or maybe go back up and get, or really want on your football team. Or I think of a guy like Simmons, you know what, this guy is so freakish. We will find something for him. We thought we were going to go bigger than that, maybe with defensive linemen or offensive linemen, but this guy is so special. We thought he was special. He just showed us he was special. This guy can perform. That, you know what, if he's there, he's our guy.
Well, and it's funny because once again we're hearing, well, this is a very deep wide receiver class. There's going to be wide receivers in the second and third round. Yeah, but there's only one Jared Jeudy, okay? There's only one Henry Ruggs who runs a 4.27. Right now, get a Henry Ruggs kind of the smaller side, but guess what, man? What do we talk about all the time on the show with Tyreek Hill, Andy Isabella now? Like, these short guys, man, they can play that one spot, because if you have to rely on your number one corner to cover them, well, to me, that's number one receiver. So, like, to me, Henry Ruggs is intriguing for sure. But I get it. It's a deep wide receiver class. But if your guy's there, like a Jared Jeudy, everyone's all about him right now, then go get him, because second, third round wide receivers, man, I get it. They could be intriguing, but you need guys to come in and make a play right away.
I've got to be honest with you. I did not think there was that guy. There wasn't that guy that jumped out to me, A.J. Green, Julio Jones, those kind of guys. Well, now, after the Combine, it feels like more people are saying that, not just Casterly, but just more people are saying, hey, there could be separation. Well, so if you want to give me separation and there is one to get above the others and he falls to you, I think you got to think about it.
Well, you keep in mind, too, what happened last year, Brent. We had A.J. Brown come out of Tennessee, made a huge difference to the Tennessee Titans. DK Metcalf made a huge difference last year. Andy Isabella made a pretty big difference last year. So we're starting to see these first-year guys at the wide receiver position can come in and play right away.
That being said, Jags had success in the second round. Allen Robinson, even Marquise Lee, but now DJ Chark. We'll be right back. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 live from UNF Arena. Big game tonight, 7 o'clock. JU against UNF in the A-Sun quarterfinals.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Warm today under partly sunny skies, a little breezy at times. Highs in the lower 80s. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
ESPN 690 welcomes Black Cherry Smoke to Daly's Place on August 22nd. You can visit the contest page on ESPN690.com right now and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Black Cherry Smoke with ESPN 690.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need
I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today.
Spay or neuter your pet. Help them live a longer, happy life. First Coast No More Homeless Pets has free and low-cost programs available now. Make your appointment today. Call 425-0005, 425-0005, or fcnmhp.org.
I'm calling all hockey fans. The Jacksonville Icemen are at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. And if you've never experienced the intensity and excitement of a Jacksonville Icemen's game, well, you better step your game up and take it from me. This is an experience that you don't want to miss. The Icemen take on the Florida Everblades this Friday, the Atlanta Gladiators this Saturday, and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits this Sunday. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday and 3:30 p.m. this Sunday. This Saturday against the Atlanta Gladiators is also a special game. The Icemen are putting on the Future Stars of Sports event, a celebration of all youth athletes. Former Jacksonville Jaguars player Najee Good will also be at the game, and if you purchase 50 or more tickets at www.jacksiceman.com/sports, you can be a part of the meet and greet and hang out with Najee Good himself. Don't miss out on the intensity and fun at the Jacksonville Icemen games this Friday through Sunday. Visit jacksiceman.com for tickets and more info.
Welcome to Jacksonville's Frisch Family Holocaust Memorial Gallery. It's a free educational resource with rotating exhibits. It's so important we remember. Jewish Family and Community Services. Here for remembrance. Here for Jax. Learn more at hereforjax.com.
ESPN 690 is excited to announce Tenacious D's coming to the Moran Theater October 2nd. If you want to win tickets, you got to visit the contest page at ESPN690.com and enter for your chance to win. That's Tenacious D at the Moran Theater October 2nd.
Hey everybody, Trey Wingo from Golick and Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
So I'm sitting behind the Braves dugout. I'm like 7. Me and my dad are heckling pretty famous switch hitter, Larry, every summer. So I make my debut in 11 and Chipper Jones gets on first base and I was just like, short story. That's Chipper Jones I'm talking to. I used to heckle you as a kid. And next year it was one of the coolest moments of my life.
You did a really good job with a 2-out story.
Yeah, that was quick, right?
Anthony Rizzo and the ESPN crew yesterday. Again, this is getting rave reviews. I mean, everybody talks about baseball. I've been a little in denial about baseball in terms of their problems. I don't think they're as big as they want to say in the immediate. I think they could be down the road. But reality is reality. I think even Alex Rodriguez was on Golick and Wingo this morning and saying, hey, we slipped to the third sport. I mean, and we could slip to the fourth or fifth sport if we're not careful. So if we don't do some of these things. So that is reality. I just look at, like, attendance and stuff, and baseball attendance is still pretty strong, man. World Series ratings pretty strong. I mean, it's not what it used to be, but it's still pretty strong. And and there's a lot of good things about baseball, but baseball has to connect with a younger group. Baseball has to connect with a visual group in terms of TV, and baseball has to connect with a social media group, and they don't do a good job with their branding. And so this was awesome for Major League Baseball. I'm not getting into it, though, first segment of the show, or second, however you want to view it. But we'll talk more about the baseball part of it, because I think it's fascinating what they did, and can they do more of it realistically will be the question.
And I'm going to be honest, man. I think, and I'm kind of with you, Brent, where, baseball is going to always have that old school feel of, like the old school diehards are always going to stand by baseball. But, to get to your point, the next generation, there has to be something in it for them, And right now, I'm on the fence where it's like, I enjoy the old school baseball type atmosphere, but obviously I love to see guys showcase their personalities. And I think that's the biggest thing that baseball is missing right now, is to showcase their personalities. Because you have the top stars like Mike Trout. Dude, I can go on the street and say, hey, tell me something about Mike Trout, and no one's going to know anything. But I can go ask about Patrick Mahomes. I can ask about LeBron James. I can ask about Lamar Jackson, and people are telling me a boat ton of stuff, So, this small little ambiance of just having the microphone up, right, and showing that, what, these guys like to have fun. They like to laugh. They like to quote movies, just like I could.
They're cultural.
Exactly, and this is the Chicago Cubs, who I will never watch on TV. But you know what? I actually liked a little bit on Twitter seeing, that they're quoting Rookie of the Year. Like, dude, that's awesome. I quote the same movie. So from that perspective, man, it showcased their personality. And I think if baseball can kind of do that more, whether it's with these microphones or just even more interviews, more behind-the-scenes stuff, I think it's going to help the sport of baseball overall.
Absolutely. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And I'd love to get your thoughts. Did you like it? Do you want to see more of it? Can you listen, we want to see stuff sometimes. No doubt the networks would love to make it happen, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's like, okay, wait a minute now. What's inside the lines stays in the lines, although we have certainly gone further and further away from that with a variety of things, whether it's people mic'd up, the transparency of everything else, the betting, the whatever.
Yeah.
So we've changed. Will we continue to change? Will Major League Baseball change? We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I want to talk football. And a part of the story that we didn't really talk much about, I might have mentioned it for a sentence or two yesterday, with Yannick Ngakoue. That was the dominating story. And one thing I do want to do, and might do in a little bit, is there was a lot of interaction on social media with us yesterday that I didn't get to. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk about some of your questions and thoughts that you had on the Yannick front. But one that we wanted to get to is Calais Campbell. And it might be a little too early, but it might never be too early, because we're 2.5 weeks away from decisions having to be made. Mm-hmm. And with this latest news from Yannick Ngakoue, with the hesitancy or doubt now of signing him long-term, having him long-term, wondering if he'll even play in 2020 if he really digs into the sand, even if you franchise tag him. The only thing I could think of yesterday was, like, how can this get any worse? Well, it can get worse in one way. That is, you don't bring Calais Campbell back. Yannick Ngakoue already a fan favorite. All the other things that have happened, the home game moving to London in 2020, maybe even more than just 2020. And then you take a fan favorite like Calais Campbell, what he's done, what he's meant to the organization in 3 years, what he's meant to the city, and you can't figure out how to keep him in a Jags uniform, whether that's because he sees what else everybody's doing and says, I want out of here, whether you don't want to pay him $15 million, whether you can't restructure and come to terms on how you want to utilize him, all those things. And by the way, no inside information here. I don't know. They are not – the last I checked, which was recent, there is nothing in terms of, hey, we're headed down this way yet. There's still a couple weeks, and I think they're going to try to work this out. And it might take a day or two to figure it out. I don't know how long those negotiations happen, but I don't think they're there yet, at least from my knowledge of it. But what if? What if after all this stuff, man, all this stuff, you lose Calais Campbell as well? And what does that say to the fans? What does that say about your football team? What does that say about your locker room and your franchise and the city and everything that's going on? To me, that would feel rock bottom, almost from a symbolic point of view. You know, losing Yannick Ngakoue could impact you for years to come because he's a 24-year-old guy, will be 25 when he enters the fall. Losing Calais Campbell, who's going to be 34, to me speaks a lot louder in so many different areas about what's going on right now. And it would be a dangerous thing. And it might give actually Calais the leverage here from a dollar standpoint as he enters these next couple of weeks.
So if, signing Yannick Ngakoue, like Dave Caldwell said, was a top priority, and you lose Yannick Ngakoue, then Calais Campbell has to be 1B, okay? He has to be the second top priority on this defense because, listen, I understand that Calais Campbell, he's an old head, right, where he doesn't think like the new guys in that locker room. I don't want to call him more of like a company man, but, he seems to go with the grain more than against the grain, okay? And sometimes, like, if he has something to say, it could fall on deaf ears. But I'm going to be honest, man. Anytime that you're a Pro Bowler, anytime that you're the Walter Payton Man of the Year, anytime that you're a team captain, that means something. And it doesn't matter how old school you are. It doesn't matter if you don't gel well with the newer generation of football players and the rookies in that locker room. Anytime you get a guy like Calais Campbell, guys will listen because you'd be stupid not to listen to Calais Campbell. So from that perspective, Brent, I just think that if you do indeed lose Yannick Ngakoue, you start have to asking yourself a little bit of what do you have left? Who are the leaders on that team? Miles Jack right now, another captain, doesn't know what position he's going to play next year. Okay? He's worrying about that right now. We're not sure about A.J. Boye yet. Obviously, if you lose Yannick Ngakoue, you lost Marcel Darius. Yes, you have Avery Jones still on the team, but how much is he on the field? So to me, man, Calais Campbell, if you do indeed lose Yannick Ngakoue, Calais Campbell has to be there just from a transition of bringing more younger guys in because, listen, Josh Allen is going to be a supreme talent, I think, going forward. But he's going into his second year. You're asking a lot of Josh Allen if you expect him to be a team captain and a team leader in that locker room going into his second year in the NFL.
So here's the deal with Calais Campbell, by the way. He's under contract. He's under contract for a shade over $15 million. And when I talked to him right after the season, he understood what was going on. He understood. He said, hey, listen, I'm not sure. This was a good year. It wasn't my best year. I missed more tackles than I've ever missed. He was very honest. He said, I still got game. And he said, I'll never forget the quote. He said, am I worth $15 million still? You're damn right I am.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. And, boy, he may be worth almost more than that now to the Jaguars, given the current state, given the current situation. You need guys like that to bridge you into wherever you're going, at the very least, even if you ask them to take a lesser role. And usually when you ask players to take a lesser role, you ask them to take lesser money. And so how will those conversations go? But I got to believe if I'm in Calais' camp, now I'm like, hey, guys, I don't know what Jan's doing.
Yeah.
You didn't take care of Jan. Nobody's happy around here.
Yeah.
I can try to help you out and save this thing. I can do my best I can, but I'm not taking a pay cut.
Well, and let's look at it from Shad Khan's perspective real quick, right? Nothing but bad optics nonstop for the Jacksonville Jaguars the past year and a half here, Brent. It's all we ever talk about, right? The national media right now, they're poking jabs, they're making fun because there's nothing really positive out of the Jaguars camp, set aside from Gardner Minshew. That's about it. So from that perspective as well, man, you want a guy. Like, listen, when the stuff was going bad, who was the guy that always manned up, always gave a good press conference, always answered any question that you had, and was the definition of a professional. To me, it's Calais Campbell. Now, I wasn't in the locker room a lot, but I watched the press conferences and stuff on Twitter and all that stuff, and I always saw Calais Campbell handle himself the best of his abilities, right? Even when things weren't going his way and he wasn't playing the best, he still manned up, he still addressed the issues, and to me, that's a definition of professional. No, I think Josh Allen can be that guy as well, right? But last year, Josh Allen was a rookie. Right? I mean, when you're a rookie, you don't really have a say of how things are supposed to be, right? You just kind of follow along, you get used to the landscape, and you go from there. So going forward, man, once again, if you lose Yannick Ngakoue, you need somebody in that locker room to be a professional, to show you how it's done. And Calais Campbell's that guy. And if you were to lose Calais Campbell, man, after a season of just bad optics and everyone poking fun, losing the Walter Payton Man of the Year, it's only going to add another black eye to organization, in my opinion.
Yeah, it could get worse before it gets better in that regard. And I do think it's very much an optics play. But it could factor into the culture stuff. If you're trying to change the culture, make the culture better, it could factor into that. Whatever that is just kind of out there. Culture is a word that just gets kind of put out there. It's like the iCloud. I mean, it's just out there.
It's there. We can't see it.
And
but
when we ask, why is it so bad? Well, we don't know exactly why it's so bad, but it's bad. How do you fix it? Well, it's there. I don't know how you fix it, but you got to fix it. That's really what we get at with the word culture. It's like, sure. I don't know where the iCloud lives, but I know I use it, and I know I need it. I mean, it's essentially what it is. But to me, this would be such a bad thing coming off Yannick, coming off 2 home games in London, coming off a bad season, coming off keeping Marone Caldwell, coming off Jalen Ramsey, coming off Delvin Smith. I mean, you want me to keep going?
I mean, who you telling, man?
So it would be to me that there would be a sense of, that's as bad as it gets. If Fournette wanted out and left, it wouldn't be as bad as losing a Calais Campbell on top of Yannick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be one more step, but that wouldn't be necessarily rock bottom. Rock bottom would be Calais. How this plays out would be very interesting, what the Jaguars do, what he wants to do. Does he have a market outside of here for the price tag he wants? He will have a market, but does he have it for the price tag that he might want if the Jags aren't willing to go there?
And let's be honest, man. If you're Calais Campbell, what do you do? If you're Calais Campbell, do you take the pay cut and probably play a little less snaps? Or if you're Calais Campbell, do you say, you know what, I'm a Pro Bowler. PFF had me as the best run, defensive lineman, stopper, whatever in the NFL. Do I take my talent someplace else if they're not going to pay me what I want and go play full time?
Yeah, and you could certainly say that.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about this in terms of the Jags chasing everything. And do they need to rip it down, especially if Campbell's not a part of it? Is he the guy that says, well, wait a minute, we got to go in a different direction? But when we come back, there's some fallout from Yannick Ngakoue, at least on social media, that you guys interacted with us. We're going to get to some of that, some of your questions. We try to answer them next on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 welcomes Black Cherry Smoke to Daly's Place on August 22nd. You can visit the contest page on ESPN690.com right now and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Black Cherry Smoke with ESPN 690.
Good news if you're looking to propose. Beard's most exciting offer ever has been extended. 5 years, 0 interest on anything in the store.
Yes, now at Beard's Diamonds, get 0 interest for 5 years on any purchase.
And that's on top of Beard's Diamonds' already everyday low prices.
Spread your payments out over 5 full years without paying a dime in interest.
How about a $6,000 Tacori or Veragio ring? You pay just $100 a month.
Or a pair of $3,000 diamond stud earrings. You pay just $50 a month.
But hurry, 5 years, 0 interest financing won't last long.
Get her that designer setting she's been dreaming about and spread your payments out over 60 months.
Just divide your total price by 60, and that's what you'll pay a month.
Don't miss out on the best deal of the year.
0% financing store-wide held over.
Beard's Diamonds, located at the St. John's Town Center.
Or beardsdiamonds.com.
Where exceptional is affordable.
For the ones who forge metal and those with nerves of steel. For the ones who burn the midnight oil and the ones who rise with the sun. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, with over 250 local branches and a team of specialists available 24/7 to help you solve any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
3, 2, 1. The countdown to the 50th Daytona Supercross is on. The high-flying, heart-pounding action happens Saturday, March 7th at the World Center of Racing. Get closer to the action than anywhere else on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross circuit as the top racers go bar to bar at Daytona. Don't let another second pass you by. Get tickets and trackside access by calling 1-800-PIT-SHOP or visiting DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
Hey everybody, Trey Wingo here from Golick and Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jackson. It's clear Northeast Florida has great taste in radio. I mean, you're listening to me every morning, right? Join the ESPN 690 team and get your business notice today. The First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get your business in front of them. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 is excited to announce Tenacious D's coming to the Moran Theater October 2nd. If you want to win tickets, you got to visit the contest page at ESPN690.com and enter for your chance to win. That's Tenacious D at the Moran Theater October 2nd.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anna Jar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Jamming to a lot is that the Selena Gomez song. I don't know all the lyrics, but is it to lose love or love?
Lose
to
you
love,
to love me.
Wait, to love.
Yes.
To love.
Love me to lose you.
I needed to lose you to find me.
Lose you to love me.
Is that what it is? See, I mean, the thing that Emily, my wife, gets on me a lot is I'll sing, but I don't know any of the lyrics. I'll just sing like what I think the lyrics are.
I love that.
Yeah, so.
Hopped off the plane at L.A. Dreams in my card again. And now you want to hate me for Miley Cyrus when you got this dude listening to Selena Gomez. Come on, Brent.
You were singing Party in the USA.
Yes, sir. I see you, Brent. I see you as you take a swig of water, all impressed with yourself.
Yeah.
That's a victory for the day.
Official water of Action Sports Jax on ESPN.
Yes, sir. Drink it up.
CGC. Connecticut. There's a lot going on in my mind right now.
I'm sure there is.
Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant talking about Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
You singing a little bit of Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yes.
See, what I think, I don't know if listening to Selena Gomez makes you cool, but I do think there's see, the problem, I think there's a disconnect sometimes with the casual sports fan and baseball players. Because, see, baseball players do think they're cool. I've said this many a times.
They are a different breed.
Baseball players think they're the coolest people on earth.
They're a different breed, I'll tell you that.
I mean, just look at me.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Cool.
Say no more.
I'm not sure casual sports fan thinks baseball players are cool.
Okay.
So what some of this did, as we continue to, like, every couple minutes talk about this mic'd up baseball yesterday, because it was so fantastic.
Yeah.
It makes those guys look kind of cool.
Yep.
Which is okay. That's the point. I don't care how you do it, but you need to. Bryce Harper has to look cool, be cool. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, these stars of the game. Mm-hmm. The casual fan, the Major League Baseball fan, the young kid that loves ball. My kid, I love those guys, of course, no problem.
Yeah.
But the casual fan thinks Lamar Jackson's cool,
Without
thinks LeBron James is cool, thinks Anthony Davis is cool. You don't have to be a diehard fan of any of those sports to think, whoa, that's cool. Mm-hmm. baseball players don't have a cool factor. And this could open us up to kind of be like, hey, these guys are cooler than we think.
Sure. Well, and and you talk about that cool factor. And to me, growing up as a kid, man, like, I grew up in a great time to watch baseball, right? Because we had a guy by the name of Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. was the definition of cool.
Very good point.
Everybody was rocking their hat backwards, myself included, because of Ken Griffey Jr. So, like, Ken Griffey Jr., from his perspective, man, he was the guy that kind of went against the old traditional values of baseball, right? And he kind of did it his way, whether it was his swing, his style, just his attitude, man. It was something different. It was something new. It was something refreshing. Well, now we're starting to see more guys like Acuna, with all these necklaces and things like that, and kind of going against the grain a little bit too. So I do feel like the cool factor is trying to get up a little bit once again in baseball, but you got to think outside the box, man. You have to turn your head, backwards. You got to find something new that nobody's doing to kind of set yourself apart. But I'm just saying, to me, man, like the golden era growing up in baseball with Ken Griffey Jr., and then obviously like Sammy Sosa and all those guys, man. It was a really great time to be a baseball fan, man, because you had so many cool role models that were just, they were different and you wanted to be like them.
I got one other thing before I get to the Yannick Ngakoue comments from a lot of people. We have so many I'm rifling through to try to. I wanted to bring some of this up yesterday. We just didn't get to it.
Yeah.
Can you do golfers do what's in your bag?
Sure.
Like,
oh, you want to do?
I almost feel like we should do a what's in your bag.
Oh, dude, you picked the worst day to do this. You want to see what's in my bag right now?
I really do.
I don't think you want to see it for real.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. Here's how this happened.
Oh no!
So I'm telling Austin, I'm like,
this is of all day. Okay.
I'm telling Austin that I'm doing like we're still on the what's it called, the fast.
Yeah, we're
right?
still on the intermittent fasting. Yes, man.
So like 1 to 9.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, I'm hitting it hard right now. Like no sugar, no added sugar, water, no alcohol, no. Even like no Starbucks because it's the hazelnut is sugar.
Yep.
So I'm trying.
Yeah.
Going hard for the month, and off to a pretty decent start. And so he's like, yeah, but are you getting enough vitamin C? Like, are you doing? So we start talking about vitamin C, and then so he reaches into his bag and he's got like these vitamins.
Oh yeah,
and
dude,
I'm like, what else do you have in that bag?
So you really put me on the spot right now. But you know me, man, I'm super transparent. So you got to keep in mind where I'm at right now because there's something in my bag that has never been in my bag before that I've been working on the show. Okay, I'm just saying that right now. The first day I've had it in my bag. Keep in mind where I'm at right now. My fight is this Friday, so we're in dress rehearsal right now and tonight, right? So it's going to be a nice light night, but basically what you want to do is you want to put on your uniform, what you're going to wear for the fight, your mouth guard, and everything like that, and get ready.
You got your jock strap in your bag.
So you asked what's in my bag, okay? And this is your fault, not mine, because you opened up, Pandora's box, and once Pandora's box gets opened, you can't put Pandora back in.
I didn't know the show was going here, people.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
So we got the multivitamins.
So this is multivitamins, so I should use this if I'm not getting enough fruit
in
my diet.
We got some MMA gloves.
Is this bad luck if I try
dude,
it on?
Try them on, but I apologize that they smell really horrible.
That's all right.
Okay,
so
cool. Yep. So we got the. You want to wrap your hands too as well? There's wraps in here as well.
Nah, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Is this all this is?
What do you mean?
So you're open. You're really open on the front end of this.
Oh
huh?
yeah. Well, I mean, I have bigger hands, so. But yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You see, how's that feeling?
I can almost hit
and then
this on.
if you, this is the thing that I was getting at here.
Yeah.
So
I'm not touching that.
Yeah. Well, and as you can see, there's not much to it.
Is that a face mask for the coronavirus?
it very well might be.
You might have to show the camera a little more than that.
Do you want me to show it?
Yeah.
Can we? Okay. Yeah.
It's a jock strap.
Yeah, but it's a steel cup.
Did you steal that from Minshew?
No, I did not steal it from Minshew.
That's the cup.
But this is a
cup check.
Yep, they actually call it a Muay Thai steel cup, and basically it's steel because if someone kicks you there, good luck to your foot. Not going to feel so good.
Really? Have you done that to somebody?
Oh yeah.
Just accidentally.
Absolutely, and it does not feel good.
It really hurts.
No, it hurts like
So that is steel.
Yep. So then we got my mouth guard. You want to try the mouth guard out? Got the mouth guard here.
I don't want to try it on.
Yep. And then
you get a new mouth guard every fight.
No. Usually what I do is I'll have like 4 or 5 fights with the same mouth guard.
Okay.
Yep. And then we got some CBD oil here.
Oh, let me try
capsules.
all of that.
I'm not sure if we can even talk about that on the radio station.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. And then we got just an energy bar. Yep, an energy bar as well.
Is that an energy bar that you'll eat today, or is that an in case, like an emergency?
No, so this is my pre-workout energy bar right here. So usually I have like some fruit or an energy bar to help me get me through the workout.
Man, you are so scripted.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm a creature of habit.
And then here on the show, it's off the cuff, baby.
Well, yeah, and then we got the lunch right here. So
that is fantastic. So That is it.
There you go.
You're ready to go.
Ready to roll,
for
man.
the fight. Are you superstitious at all?
Ooh, good call. Not really, man. I think I was more superstitious in football than I was in MMA. So I don't really have like any kind of like pre-ritual habits or anything. Like I come out to usually the same song. But that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So I was superstitious.
Well,
I still am superstitious.
No,
I might start the show the same way every time. Nah, I really don't, because I don't get here in time to do that.
But trust me, like especially in fighting, man, there's a lot of superstitions. I've always felt like though, where in a fight, things can go like left real fast and go right real. So like to me, the last thing you want to do is be superstitious, because then you have to like abide by every single rule, and by the time you get in the cage, it's like, like, this is unexpected and new. So to me, I try to be as open as possible and endure new things as possible.
Yeah, superstitious is a dangerous way to live.
Yes.
Because if one thing goes wrong, then you just got in your own head.
Exactly.
Now, there's a big difference between routine and superstitions, I think.
Yeah.
Like in golf, like I don't really care what happened this morning on the 6th hole.
Let's not talk about that.
Like, I'm not really that. Like, it doesn't matter that much, but I'll have the same routine.
Yeah.
You know, but it's less super. Now, in baseball, when I was playing, I felt like I had it was more of a superstitious thing to go along with the routine.
Yeah.
But, like, I felt like I had to do it.
Oh, dude,
know?
I was so bad in football. Like, I had to play this certain song to put on my eye black in the mirror. Like, I would stand in the mirror and put on my eye black to a certain song. I had to take a certain amount of time, and I had to finish my eye black before the song was over.
That's dangerous.
Dude, I was like OCD, man. It was bad.
Yeah.
Real bad stuff.
Well, thanks for showing us what's in your bag.
Well, thanks
New
for
segment
asking, man.
coming up every Tuesday here on the show on Action Sports Jackson, ESPN 690. What is in Austin's bag?
There we go. I like it, man.
Maybe we can do my bag someday.
Yeah, I'm curious.
You know what? The funny thing about my bag, right? So you go to the airport, and I'm
Sure.
like, shoot, what do I have in my bag that I haven't taken out of my bag?
Yeah, food.
I'm not talking about drugs here, people.
Liquids.
I'm just saying
I figured as much.
liquids, or you know what I had in the other day?
What's that?
Because down at one of the baseball tournaments in the hotel.
Yeah.
No, this goes all the way back actually to when we went to Birmingham. So it would have been Thanksgiving time, and I didn't have a bottle opener in the hotel.
Okay.
So the hotel gave me a bottle opener.
Sure.
And it was like a bottle opener, but like a pretty kind of big one.
So
I
you
put it
said-
in the side pocket.
Did it have like the point too at the end, like where you can?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
It was actually kind of closed up.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it didn't look like one that
A
was
weapon.
you'd stab somebody
Yeah.
with. But anyway, that will get detected, I think, at the airport.
So you
And
you
so
can't
I
bring that
actually
through.
thought of it because I didn't want to be like the guy that said, "What are you doing with a bottle opener?"
Yeah,
like
yeah.
coming through, I'm like, "Bottle opener," yeah. But so I took it out and threw it away.
Yeah.
The other day.
Gotcha.
Before I flew to Indianapolis, like
Yeah.
at the airport, I
Yeah.
checked my bag. I actually was like, I don't want to get stuck.
Yeah.
So I checked my own bag
Nicely
that
done.
time. But you never know what's in the bag.
Never know
I
what's in
mean,
the bag,
I'll
man.
find like a granola bar from 2016 in my bag sometimes.
Oh, dude, it's like I said. You picked the day of all days to ask me what's in my bag, man. Like that. I mean, if you wanted to see the cup, you saw the cup, and I'm not sure if you saw the back of it. But as far as how to put on the cup, it's not like
is that all it is?
It's essentially it's like a thong, basically.
It is.
It's two shoelaces and that's it, and then that's how tie cups work. Funny story. My very first fight of my entire career, my first amateur fight, I was down in Orlando, and one of my training partners, Phil, who's like he used to wrestle actually for UNF around here, so he's a big wrestler guy. He's one of my coaches, and keep in mind, so I have this steel cup here, and once again, like I said, it's just two shoelaces. You got to tie around yourself. Dude, I had no idea how to do it by myself. So we're in the bathroom of this nightclub trying to figure this out. And mind you, you know how club bathrooms work, where there's like the guy that hands out the gum and wants tips?
Yeah.
Dude, so we're in the middle of the bathroom. I'm trying to put, and mind you, I'm butt naked right now, and I'm trying to put on my steel cup with Phil in the back, trying to tie it, dude. And this guy is just watching us, being like, "Man, you ain't paying me enough for this." So it's like, you're up there to give me
what's
some
the
money.
tip on that?
Yeah, exactly. So
I've got some gum.
yeah. So there you go.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Great
man.
story. I love spontaneous radio sometimes.
you gotta
that just
love it.
came out of the blue. All because
Absolutely.
we asked about vitamin C.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's some comments about from yesterday and the last day, really, even into today,
Let's hear
about Yannick Ngakoue. Minshew 6-6, Foles 0-4 is the handle. Says, my question is, how does Jan's desire to leave Jacksonville affect AJ and Calais' situation? If Jan is traded, do the Jaguars keep those players under their current contract situation, knowing that they don't have to sign another player to a big contract? And what about Darius? All right, Darius is its own separate issue. Darius is coming back if they can figure out a price, and if he wants to. And Dave Caldwell said last week, it depends where his mind is at on that. They haven't even discussed it, but sure, it's plausible. I believe it's actually very possible for it to happen. for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Meanwhile, the other part of the trade stuff with Jan is tricky because the Jaguars first have to franchise tag him.
Yeah.
Then the league year doesn't start until March 18th. So that's when trades will go down. Now, there's a negotiating period and that kind of legal tampering period starts March 16th. So if you're thinking trade that will affect the dollars, it's very difficult because I don't think anything's going down in the next 3 weeks with Jan. I think this will take some time to materialize. They'll call each other's bluff a couple of times more, or at least make a this or that. Starting with the franchise tag.
Yeah.
So this is something that will carry on. You're probably looking closer to the summer or maybe even start of the season. Well, therefore, you're on the hook for the $19 million as of now. So it doesn't free the Jags are most likely 99% chance going to be on the hook for $19 million as the league year starts. So it's going to stop them from saying, well, we might have $19 million here, so keep Calais here.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do that. The one thing about A.J. or Calais, I think from this question, although it's not exactly how he phrased the question, I would say if they choose to just get rid of A.J. Boye's $13 million, that might simply allow them to keep Calais Campbell. It might be either or. I don't think it will be both unless they want to just scrap everything and start over. But if it's an either-or situation, they could go about it that way from a Calais standpoint. So what I'm trying to say is how they deal with Calais and A.J. impact probably each other more than how the numbers add up with Jan versus those two guys.
Sure.
Get what I'm saying?
Exactly, and that's the thing with Jan, too, right? Like, he's kind of he doesn't want to play in Jacksonville here, so people think, all right, well, then the guy's going to be off the books. Well, no. If you franchise tag him, you are pot committed for that $19 million per year. And you want to talk about a team, Brent, who's interested in tight ends and free agency, signing Calais Campbell, possibly signing, A.J. Boye, or I'm sorry, keeping Calais Campbell and possibly keeping A.J. Boye. I mean, those are a lot of nuances right now that not everybody can be happy with, right? Especially from the tight end position where if you want to bring your Austin Hoopers in, if you want to bring your Hunter Henrys in, you got to make sure that you're looking good on the books. And right now, with Yannick Ngakoue looming with that $19 million, there's not going to be a lot of cap space open right now where they sit to go get that free agent guy at tight end.
Well, keep in mind, too, Hunter Henry sounds like he's going to get tagged out with the Chargers. At least Jenna Lane, your cousin, reported that.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah.
I thought how'd she know? She's in Tampa.
I know. She's NFL circles doing her job up at the combine.
Well, she also told me that O.J. Howard is going to go off in fantasy, and we know how that panned out for everybody.
Not really his cousin, by the way. Shane says, Jags doing right thing. He isn't worth what he's asking. He's above average. Fans haven't seen enough of that, so some overrate him. If first round or multiple early picks in trade do it, GM should have been fired. They'll probably waste pick anyway.
We got some breaking news here from Adam Schefter, man.
Whoa, is that real Adam Schefter?
This is real Adam Schefter, not trolling Adam Schefter.
Oh, we're going to time out here. A.J. Boye. Read it.
The Broncos and Jaguars have agreed on a trade that would send cornerback A.J. Boye to Denver for a 2020 fourth-round pick, league sources tell ESPN.
And you're sure that's the real Schefter?
The trade cannot be processed until the new league year begins March 18th. Well, I don't know, Brent. I mean, the guy's got 7.7 million followers. So
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Broncos and Jags agreed on trade. Send cornerback. Let's do it again. Broncos and just in case you didn't like the way Austin read it.
Probably did.
Broncos and Jaguars have agreed on a trade that would send cornerback A.J. Boye to Denver for a 2020 fourth-round pick. League sources tell ESPN the trade cannot be processed until March 18th. A.J. Boye, according to Schefter, which I think we already know, has 2 years remaining on the contract. His agent, Fred Lyles, and Jaguars negotiated 2 years ago. Broncos get a cornerback they believe fits their system. Jags get more draft picks back, another fourth-round pick. How about that? Adam Schefter just reporting that right now. So, wow, as we're talking about A.J. Boye, Calais Campbell, and Yannick Ngakoue, that pops.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, to be fair, all right, so listen, I want to see him keep A.J. Boye, right, because I want a guy who can put out your number one receiver, your top corner. They must like Trey Herndon a lot. You get a fourth-round pick for A.J. Boye going forward of this year's draft, so you get the immediate replacement or whoever. You get some compensation immediately for him. But that also bodes well, in my opinion, for Calais Campbell, regardless of what happens with Yannick Ngakoue now, right? Because now, with A.J. Boye gone, the Denver Broncos taking A.J. Boye on the books, that means that you have some money freed up. And if that's being said, then Calais Campbell, come on down.
Well, exactly. This really opens the door for Calais Campbell to stay at Jacksonville. What else does it do? It's a gaping hole at cornerback, man.
Sure.
Talk about that part of it. Now the Jags have really put themselves in a spot in the draft where they have to address cornerback or free agency. But
well,
listen, they could go on. Could they go after a guy? Could they make another trade with a Darius Slay or something like that? Could they reinvest where it's not worth as much against the cap tier and it's worth more the cap, so a restructuring of the contract, and that's hurt you in 2020? There's a lot of options still on the table. What would you try to do? Veteran guy or go to the draft and get a young guy?
Man, so you got to ask yourself. I mean, as far as depth's concerned, listen, I think if you take a corner in the first 2 or 3 rounds, obviously you expect him to come in and play right away. But I think what you need right now, obviously, is you need a replacement for A.J. Boye. And to me, that guy's only going to come, especially this year where you still have to win ball games to save your job. You have to look in free agency. You know, a guy I brought up yesterday was Darius Slay. Now, Darius Slay kind of had a rougher year last year, but he's been a former All-Pro. He's definitely, I think he's even a Pro Bowler last year, even though he kind of regressed a little bit. You know, I think Darius Slay is definitely an interesting kind of prospect to look at. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles like Darius Slay a lot because Jim Schwartz, his old coach right now, is the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. So I think the Eagles are trying to court Slay. But if I'm the Jaguars now, yeah, I mean, with all due respect to Trey Herndon and, you know, this year's draft class, I think you have to bring in that seasoned vet, that guy that can play that top corner spot that you can put on the top wide receiver and not have to worry about it so much.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. We come back, we're going to absorb this a little bit more. And I've got a question about it. Where do the Jags go now with their secondary? What do they have in their secondary? Is it a gaping hole? Does it show the remake of this entire defense is severely underway if it hadn't been already for the last year? And was this another example of a guy like Boye saying quietly, get me out of here? Do you think that could have been a part of it? Did he say, I don't want to be here anymore? This is not the way it's supposed to be, and I'm uncomfortable here. Can you get me to another place? And the Jags found a new home, and they got more draft capital in return. Not bad, a 4th-round pick. That's not bad. You might cut the guy straight up. To get something
absolutely.
in return is not bad if you weren't going to come to a deal with A.J. Boye.
Well, they also says, too, because I believe Chris Harris is a free agent from the Denver Broncos.
Oh, absolutely. They needed help.
So one's going to assume that they're not going to bring Chris Harris back either.
No, and they weren't. And that was the word out of Denver, that they weren't going to do that. So an interesting move. The trade's underway. I'll tell you what. Dave Caldwell can wheel and deal a little bit. He continues to trade, and this time trading away A.J. Boye. We'll talk about it next.
ESPN 690 welcomes Blackberry Smoke to Daly's Place on August 22nd. Visit the contest page on ESPN690.com now and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Blackberry Smoke live with ESPN 690.
The march toward the madness starts tonight. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau, and this is your Swoop Minute. The UNF Ospreys begin their quest to make the NCAA tournament at 7 p.m. in the ASUN quarterfinals against Jacksonville University. It'll take 3 wins for the chance to dance in this tournament. The Ospreys are the 2 seed after sharing the ASUN regular season championship with Liberty. UNF beat JU twice in the regular season, so this will be the 3rd installment of the River City Rumble. By the way, students get in free for tonight's game. Players made the all-academic team: Wajid Aminu, JT Escobar, and Hendrickson. In the women's ASUN tournament, it will be the same matchup. That will take place on Saturday. UNF, as a 5 seed, goes to Swisher Gymnasium to play JU in the quarterfinals. The UNF women's tennis team has won 15 matches in a row at home, the latest over Florida Atlantic. First win over the Owls since 2009. Schedules and results, all things Ospreys. Check out UNFOspreys.com. I'm Brent Martineau, and that's your Swoop Minute.
I'm calling all hockey fans. The Jacksonville Icemen are at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks. And if you've never experienced the intensity and excitement of a Jacksonville Icemen's game, well, you better step your game up and take it from me. This is an experience that you don't want to miss. The Icemen take on the Florida Everblades this Friday, the Atlanta Gladiators this Saturday, and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits this Sunday. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and 3:30 p.m. this Sunday. This Saturday against the Atlanta Gladiators is also a special game. The Icemen are putting on the Future Stars of Sports event, a celebration of all youth athletes. Former Jacksonville Jaguars player Najee Good will also be at the game, and if you purchase 50 or more tickets at www.jacksiceman.com/sports, you can be a part of the meet and greet and hang out with Najee Good himself. Don't miss out on the intensity and fun at the Jacksonville Icemen games this Friday through Sunday. Visit jacksiceman.com for tickets and more info.
145 over 92. 180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot. When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm gonna make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The march toward the madness starts tonight. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau, and this is your Swoop Minute. The UNF Ospreys begin their quest to make the NCAA tournament at 7 p.m. in the ASUN quarterfinals against Jacksonville University. It'll take 3 wins for the chance to dance in this tournament. The Ospreys are the 2 seed after sharing the ASUN regular season championship with Liberty. UNF beat JU twice in the regular season, so this will be the 3rd installment of the River City Rumble. By the way, students get in free for tonight's game. 3 men's players made the all-academic team: Wajid Aminu, JT Escobar, and Carter Hendrickson. In the women's ASUN tournament, it will be the same matchup. That will take place on Saturday. UNF, as a 5 seed, goes to Swisher Gymnasium to play JU in the quarterfinals. The UNF women's tennis team has won 15 matches in a row at home, the latest over Florida Atlantic. First win over the Owls since 2009. For news, schedules, and results, all things Ospreys, check out UNFOspreys.com. I'm Brent Martineau, and that's your Swoop Minute.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Wipers squeaking and streaking? Now's the time to change your wipers and get ready for those spring showers. We've got the deals to help you prep your ride. Right now, if you buy 2 Bosch Envision wiper blades, you'll get a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email. And next time, you can get what you need even faster. Just order online at AutoZone.com with our free same-day store pickup. Getting your job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
From Warner Brothers Pictures.
All right, guys, look.
Redemption isn't one.
The little things add up. Let's do all the little things right.
It's earned.
We have to trust each other. You got this. Yes, Coach. We have to have faith.
Academy Award winner Ben Affleck.
That's right. And have faith.
1, 2, 3, win!
They haven't been knocked down and had to get back up. They don't know what it is to fight. Let's go!
Fight for the way back. Friday. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air. When it's hot, we turn on the AC. When it's colder, we flip on the heat. But are you getting the best value with your system? Hey, everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Insulation is an important part of comfort and efficiency in your home. At Bold City Heating and Air, they offer free consultations and quotes on your insulation. Call 904-379-1648 or check out boldcityac.com. 5-star reviews on Facebook and Google. Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air.
I'm Glenn Levine, a board-certified...
Judge has turned the corner in his rehab. Judge dealing with soreness in his right pectoral muscle and shoulder, feeling better, and there's a chance he could be ready for opening day, according to GM Brian Cashman.
In Judge, we're still running through a car wash of testing to just rule out that there's nothing serious going on. He's been responding extremely well to the manual therapy programs that have been implemented since the complaint he had. So we're optimistic right now that, he's still in play for us.
Brian Cashman, Red Sox lefty Chris Sale undergoing an MRI after experiencing soreness in his elbow following his first live batting practice session. The team previously announced Sale would begin this season on the IL after reporting to camp with pneumonia. ESPN's All Access, MLB spring training coverage continuing. Red Sox Yankees live now, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. NBA Celtics forward Jason Tatum won't likely play against the Nets tonight due to illness. Guard Kemba Walker expected to return after missing time with a knee issue.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and auto insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you can save. Geico.com. Easy.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30. Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
AJ had a nice year last year. We'll explore all options with him, but he still has a lot of football left in him. And again, another player that we really like here as a person and as a guy. And obviously, you guys know that the salary restrictions and all that stuff. And realistically, it's not as bad when you put him in line with the rest of the corners in the league.
That is Dave Caldwell, Jaguars general manager. Last week at the Combine, talking about A.J. Boye. Since then, in the last couple of minutes, Dave Caldwell traded him to the Denver Broncos. Things move fast after the Combine. Gotta love it.
Always something to talk about here.
Hey, let's ask you this. Good move, bad move?
I mean, depending what the plan is, Brent, right now I have to say bad move because I have to ask you who is going to cover the number one receiver. Who's going to be your shutdown corner right now? So until I can see the plan in fruition, I don't know what to say. So it's hard for me to comment on it, obviously, because there's a lot that can happen from now. But right now where the roster sits, obviously it's a bad move because you don't have a top cornerback.
Yeah. I guess I would say almost doesn't seem as bad a move to me because it was somewhat anticipated to me.
Okay.
You know, if you go back a few weeks ago, I would say, hey, this is a possibility.
Sure.
I think they're going to prioritize Calais Campbell. I think they're going to tag Yannick Ngakoue. I think the dollars make sense to try to get out from under A.J. Boye so you can accomplish some of those things. And so I think that's why I'm not sure it's maybe a necessity more than bad. And I would say the good part is you got a fourth-round pick.
No, I mean
the Jaguars now have 10 picks.
Yeah.
In the first 4 rounds, I think it is. No, I'm sorry. 10 picks overall, 6 of them in the first 4 rounds.
And that's fantastic. My question to you is, so, you know, if we could kind of see this coming a little bit, at least from – because, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't think Boye was going to get traded, at least not so soon. I thought it would have been a little later on. But, you know, if you kind of foresaw this coming, then what do you foresee happening now at the corner position? Do you see Trey Herndon being the guy going forward? Do you see them drafting early on to replace A.J. Boye? Or do you see them going after free agency or possibly trading for somebody?
Well, here's what they have on their roster, okay? Trey Herndon, DJ Hayden. Trey Herndon's a starting guy for you. That's way in your plans. Mm-hmm. He is right now your number one guy on the outside. DJ Hayden, I would not move off the inside. I would keep him on the inside. He's playing a bunch there. He plays excellent there. I argue that he played at a Pro Bowl level, and the Jags weren't very good. But if he was on a good team, well, they might have made a Pro Bowl. They should make a certain Pro Bowl spot for the nickel corner
spot,
because they don't even have one. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he would have made it, I think, if they had one, or at least you could entertain the idea of that. They have Brandon Watson. Don't know much about him. They mentioned Perry Nickerson a couple of times at the draft, at the Combine last week. They like him. What does that mean? I have no idea. If you're asking me, do you think the Jaguars can go into the season and Brent feel good about it if they have Perry Nickerson and Trey Herndon on the outside? I would tell you no.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
No, I would not. So I think they need to do something else, whether it's a mid-level kind of a free agent pickup. You know, I'm not saying go get this guy because he's now available, but I'm telling you this kind of pickup where he might not be a Pro Bowl player, but he might be solid enough to get it done, and you don't have to worry about things. He's got a veteran presence, still something left in the tank. Something like a Prince Amukamara that they did years ago.
But he was here,
But then Chicago got him, and Chicago got years out of him too.
Sure.
And he's not a Pro Bowl guy.
No.
He's not a flashy guy. But can you get that kind of insurance plan in free agency before the draft? And then if you get fortunate enough to find one of these top flight corners, then maybe you make that move. Again, a lot of people, there are some people that think C.J. Henderson's a lock to the Jags at number 20. This will only mock more people having Henderson to the Jags at 20. I'm not sure, because I've read so many things about Henderson, that he might even be in the top 20 in this draft. Will he even be available? So where do the Jags stack up on those guys? If Okudah were to fall to them at 9, I think they'd go there because he would be the best player on their board. But he's not going to fall there. So I don't think he's going to fall there, unless there's a run on quarterbacks and they fall in love with the Simmons and the offensive lineman. So I guess it's not out of the question. But I think if he were to fall there, then they would take a guy like Okudah, and then bingo, you got your guy.
Sure.
But so there's a variety of ways, but I think you have to take first things first. I'm not comfortable with them, with what's on their roster.
Sure.
Starting day one. I would go get myself a mid-level, like a B-level free agent that's not going to break the bank, but is going to solidify that position. And name me some of the names out there.
We got Josh Norman, Chris Harris, Jimmy Smith, Logan Ryan, Bradley Roby, Aqib Talib, who's, he's kind of on the back nine. He's 34 years old. You got Prince, Ronald Darby, Brandon Carr, Tremont Williams. He's 37 though. It's not. Jonathan Joseph, 36 years old. So Eli Apple.
Could you do an Eli Apple? And I mean, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
Do you give him a chance? Do you get? Will you do something like that? It's not going to be super expensive. Vernon Hargraves is available.
Yeah.
Would you try something like that?
I'm going to say this about Eli Apple. For first-round pick, goes to the New York Giants. There was some falling out with his mom was kind of a distraction. She was all over Twitter, social media. And then Eli Apple was struggling in New York, so they trade him to New Orleans, where they didn't ask him to be the top corner, right? Because you got a guy by the name of Lattimore in New Orleans who is obviously the guy. So Eli Apple was kind of that 2 cornerback, a lot more pressure off him. And to be fair, man, he didn't really play up to expectations. So let's be honest. You're going to bring that guy who really didn't live up to be the 2 corner from New Orleans, bring him to Jacksonville with all things considered. Are you going to make him the top cornerback? I just have a hard time buying into that, even though he's so young still.
But here's my point, and listen, I'm not trying to say Vernon Hargraves, Eli Apple. Throw me your guy out there. But those are the guys I'm talking about.
Well,
that you run back with some of those guys and say, hey, these guys have played a bit.
Sure.
They're not as bad as everybody says they are, but they're also not as good as everybody expected them to be. So if you do that and you say, all right, we're going to buy this as an insurance policy at a decent price and also bring in some more veteran players with a young secondary back there, I like the idea of doing that, and then we'll see how the draft opens up. What's Jalen Ramsey tweeting?
Just the eye look emoji and then free all my dogs laugh out loud. Just Jalen stuff. Nothing.
Free all my dogs, though.
Free all my dogs. Yeah.
Well, that begs the question, too. And I asked this before. Do you think A.J. Boye wanted out?
I mean, he very well could have wanted out. I think he had 2 more years left on his contract, obviously. And, he essentially goes to Denver now where, I think Denver's kind of surging a little bit. I think they kind of ended the season strong, so there's some intrigue there. I mean, listen, the thing with A.J. Boye, at least to my perspective, is that guy is so quiet, right? Like, you don't really ever know what he's going through or what he's thinking, and he's pretty quiet on social media, too. So, he's kind of the definition of a pro, Brian. He just goes about his business, and it is what it is. So I'm not sure if he was happy in Jacksonville or not. All I know is, and keep in mind, like you said, I agree with you. You have to go after that mid corner, in free agency, and you're slated to pay A.J. Boye, $13 million this year?
Yeah.
So keep in mind, I mean, you can probably sign that, that B-level guy like we're talking about, maybe for $9 million or less. So essentially, you're saving a little money here by signing that guy, number 1, and number 2, you also got a 4th-round pick out of it.
Yeah, and so, again, you land on your feet a little bit. What's so hard to put your arms around, and listen, I get it. This looked like the building blocks of something that was going to be special for years to come. 2017, Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Boye, all pros. Best tandem in the NFL, man.
Yep.
They are the best tandem in the NFL. 4 years later, both of them are gone. Now, there's something to that. We have to, is this the right way to say it? Detach. I almost brought John Bachman in right now for a little dictionary lesson. I almost said disattach.
Okay.
It's detach.
It's detach, yeah.
But we have to detach ourselves from 2017 to a degree. It's the NFL, man. It's 4 years later.
There's always a lot of turnover.
Roster
I'll give you
shuffle
that.
happens.
Sure.
And so I'm not defending anybody. I'm just saying that's reality. Roster shuffle happens. But it is eye-popping. I want to say that before I admit to the fact. It is eye-popping that you had two All-Pros at the corners, the best tandem in the NFL, and now both of them are gone 4 years later, really 3 seasons later. And the whole defense is really gone. Telvin Smith took himself out of play. Myles Jack, Yannick Ngakoue, who knows if he'll even play a game here again. Calais Campbell, who knows if he's still going to be on the roster.
Dante
and
Fowler.
Avery Jones.
Yeah.
Are the four left.
Yeah.
Are the 4 left from the key pieces to that unbelievable defense. That is eye-popping. That's jarring. Is that the Jags' fault? Is that just the way the NFL works? It's a little bit of combination of both.
It's a combination of both, man. And listen.
And it's a little bit of bad luck on Telvin Smith. Let's just say that.
It is bad luck, but to me, the more listen, that is eye-popping, obviously, and that is the turnover of the NFL. But to me, the more eye-popping stat is the fact that the guys that they cannot re-sign as free agents. To me, that's the most eye-popping stat of anything because, yeah, I get it. There's always going to be a roster turnover. But the successful teams of the NFL, they find a way to keep their guys that they brought through the draft. They find a way to keep their guys, re-sign them, and make them pillars on their NFL team and make them leaders going forward. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have not been able to do that. Now, they have brought in some pretty solid free agents, for instance, like A.J. Boye, like Calais Campbell, like Malik Jackson when he was here. And those are kind of like Marcel Darius, as another example as well. And those are guys that you brought in as free agents. And I think, for lack of a better word, they're great leaders on the team. They showed you how to do things the right way. But once again, those aren't your draft picks. Those aren't the guys you did all your due diligence on in scouting when they were in college. Those aren't the guys that you conducted the interviews with to try to get a feel for, is this guy going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar or not? Those are the guys that you have to keep on your team. Those are the guys that you have to build a team around. And right now, they don't have those guys, Brent. And that's the most eye-popping stat to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. This whole we're going to get to that a little bit later. But is the rebuild, right, the roster reload, or at least attempt, already underway? Even if it's not clear as day that they're just stripping it all down like they did back in 13-14, and some teams make it clear they're doing it. It's already underway. Maybe they had their hand forced that it was already underway. Jalen Ramsey wanted out. Yannick Ngakoue wants out. A.J. Boye might have asked out. We don't know that, but he may have asked out. Regardless,
I'm just going to say this, though, Brent. Be careful how you say. Because listen, I understand it's looking like it's going to be a rebuild this season, right? But Shad Khan, the owner, has made it blatantly clear that this is not a rebuilding season. Because if it was a rebuilding season, you would have let go of Dave Caldwell. You would have let go of Doug Marrone. Those guys are fighting for their jobs right now. So from the term rebuilding season, maybe on the outside looking in, but I guarantee in that stadium right now, in that coaching, in those coaches' offices, and even in Shad Khan's perspective, I don't see this as a rebuilding season. I really don't.
I guess they won't use rebuild, but it's a reshuffle of the roster, no doubt, on defense. That is almost complete now, depending on what they do with Yannick Ngakoue. Avery Jones could be a casualty of the cap. Also, Calais Campbell. It could be a complete reload from 3-4 seasons ago. So that could happen whether they want to acknowledge it or not. The re-roster shuffle is certainly underway in Jacksonville. It really has been the last couple of years. John Bachman joins us in studio right now. He can't stay too long, so I want to get to him. CBS 47, Fox 30. Surprising, John. A.J. Boye traded away.
Well, I wanted to just, if I could, be devil's advocate for what Austin was just saying there for a minute, and let me throw this out there. Now, you just said nobody's going to admit to it, and I can't imagine anybody would really even buy into it necessarily in the front office, but perhaps somewhere in that building someone says, you know what, we're not going to get Caldwell and Marrone to stick around if we actually admit to this, but why not just go ahead and clean house this year? We've got 2 games in London anyway. Everybody's mad at us. Let's clean house, set the stage for next season when we can go out and get some fresh coaching and everything else. Is that not possible?
Yeah, listen, John, I would say I believe that could be happening as a fallback plan. I don't think that's the main motivation for 2020, but I have said this before on the show. I said the house is not in ready to sell. And I'm not
Right.
talking about.
Right.
And I'm not talking about. Please don't take this out of context because you got to be really careful with the word "sell" in Jaguars. And I'm not talking about selling the team.
Yeah.
I'm talking about selling it to a head coach,
Yep.
selling it to a GM, selling it to prospective free agents about this is the place to come and win. Well, the house is not ready for that. And so what I have said for the last month or so, and really a couple months since they brought Marone and Caldwell back, is you're never going to get Shad Khan to say this. And I think in his heart of hearts, he's like, hey, maybe these guys figure it out. And what he said is we're closer to keeping these guys and winning right now if we keep these guys.
Yeah.
That's the closest way instead of tearing it all down. But I also think his fallback option is, all right, in 2020, if I had fired these guys at the end of the season, we would have been one of 5 teams looking for a new head coach and not GM, but new head coach. We would have maybe been 5th on that list after the grievances, the quarterback situation, what we've done, how we look, all these things. The Giants and Cowboys were out there, man. So they were definitely first 2 on the list.
Well, Brent, but keep in mind the Panthers were out there too. And
They were.
The Panthers probably got the best signing in Matt Rule, in my opinion, and no one was on their radar. So.
But they were even a little bit different and willing to give him a 7-year deal. Nobody does that. They acknowledge that they're rebuilding.
Do you think Shad Khan
things.
would do that, though?
I don't, because they've had too much losing around here.
Okay.
So it's a totally different. You can't give anybody 7 years and say, hey, Jacksonville, we're not going to plan on winning here for another 3-4 years.
But come on, man. That's definitely a loser's mentality. Like, you're not going to say Matt Rule, hey, man, welcome from Baylor. You got about 3 or 4 years to make this right. No, I guarantee Matt Rule sat down in the interview process and said, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to win right off the bat and go from there. Like, you don't bring in a coach and say, all right, you got time to fix this, man. It's the NFL. This is a performance-based league.
What do you always tell me? It's what the money says, Brent. You say to the player.
Well, no,
it's what the years say on that contract.
Brent.
Nobody brings in a coach anymore and says, I'm giving you 7 years contract. Essentially, the new owner of the Carolina Panthers said, we're going to give you time to do this. Don't worry.
Brent,
we're going to give you time.
He didn't say we're going to give you time. All he said was, listen, we want you this much. We're going to be committed to you for 7 years, but you still have to win right away. I guarantee a conversation never went.
And if you don't, you're gone, but we'll pay you.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee a conversation never went with Matt Rule. You know what? Just go ahead and take your time. We understand that our roster right now is a little depleted. Luke Kuechly left. Cam Newton we're not sure about yet. So just take your time and let's see what happens. No, man. That's not how the NFL works at all. I think, man, the sense of urgency to win in Carolina is right now.
I'm not saying that the owner said that. I'm saying Matt Rule said that. Matt Rule went in and said, if I'm coming here, when you're took Kuechly retired, Olsen's going away. I don't know if Cam Newton's my quarterback, and we may have to reset this thing to some degree. I want time to be able to build my culture and do it. If you're going to lure me away from a place I like in Baylor, I need time. I'm telling you, it's a different situation. I don't think Shad Khan would have done that and said, okay, we'll give you 7 years.
Listen, if Matt Rule sat down in front of me and said, I need time because I need time to do things my way, and I got to implement this system and yada, 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 I would have said, all right, we'll go look someplace else, man, because I'm on one right now. But the last thing I want to hear is, well, it's going to take some time to do this and this. BS, man. The Oakland Raiders, how long did it take them to turn things around? All right? And they lost Antonio Brown. And they still kind of –
Have they turned things around?
Well, I think – I'm going to be honest, man. I think the Oakland Raiders are very intriguing going into this up-and-coming season. I think they exceeded far expectations of all their draft picks last year. Or do you not agree with me?
No, their draft class was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think going forward, I think they're definitely intriguing. I mean, I'd be excited right now if I'm a Raiders fan. Let's be honest.
I don't think I just don't think the Jags were getting Matt Rule, and I guess that's my point.
But I don't think the Panthers are going to get him either, though, Brent.
Okay, but their house looks cleaner. I guess the moral of my story.
Okay.
And so the best thing Shad Khan can hope for is that these guys figure it out, and they're closer to winning because they've had this thing going for a little bit, and Minshew hits, and bam, they got it. The worst thing is my house looks better next year when I'm trying to get a new coach and GM because it looked like you-know-what. Here in December when I was going to try to hire
I think that's a good assessment, Brett. I really do.
And I'm telling you, nobody will ever admit that. They're not going to say that. But if they're being reasonable and looking what their house looks like, if you want to sell it for $300,000, but it looks like a $180,000 house, well, you might want to fix it up for the year to make it look like a $300,000 house.
Listen, though, I'm just coming from the perspective where if you're trying to sell your house and you have a buyer in mind, well, then you got to sell your house to try to get that buyer, right? Because if you look at last year, listen, I was a big Ron Rivera guy. You weren't so much. I think Ron Rivera is a great culture roster guy. I think if you like Ron Rivera, you go out and get him. I think if you like Matt Rule, you go out and get him. But the Jacksonville Jaguars opted to retain their staff, and now we'll see what happens. But to sit here and say, you know what, this is just going to be a situation where we're just going to hold the head coaching spot. We're just going to hold the GM spot until next year when things kind of turn over a little bit, and then we'll replace them. No, you cannot afford to waste years in the NFL, especially from the Jacksonville Jaguars' perspective and Shad Khan's perspective, where they haven't had success, in the past decade a lot, set aside from 2017. So I feel like the time is nigh, as they say, and you have to strike while the iron's hot. So
but here's the deal. You could have a AFC South that has the Houston Texans very good. The Colts, what if they sign Brady? Are you kidding me? And the Titans could sign Brady, and the Colts could sign Rivers. I mean, you could have. Even if the Jags had a decent team, they could be fourth in the division. So, I mean, I do think that somebody with the Jags, to Brent's point, has in the back of their mind that, we got to figure this out a little bit for next year, maybe not so much this year.
John, but man, I see what you're saying, but to me, you cannot think that way.
I'm not saying I like it as a fan.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it necessarily is, and certainly not something they're talking about. But I think if you are the head of a multi-billion-dollar organization, you have to have the long view. And I think the long view here is if you're and you have to be honest with yourself. The great ones are look in the mirror and say, here's my weakness, here's my strength. I'm going to work on my weakness. I'm going to capitalize on my strength. And if you're being honest as a member of the Jags, I think you look at some of this stuff and go, to Brent's point, I got some cleaning to do here. And I'm in a season where I could be, even if everything goes well, I could finish fourth in arguably the toughest division in football. And again, I know there's a lot of things that could, there's a lot of ifs in there, but you have to look at that as a very real possibility. And on top of it, you're taking 2 games in London. Now might be the best time to, quote unquote, have a rebuild year.
And I would just add to it in this and say, if I'm Shad, I already have to pay these guys $10 million to go away. They still had 2 years left on their contract. So I had to pay $10 million. I'm just throwing that out. I don't even know what the number is, but it's over 10, I think. And then you have to hire somebody else, but you're getting your 4th or 5th option, which means you might have to fire that person in a couple years anyway because you're not even getting your best option potentially to coach your football team.
And you've got 2 first round.
So you're just beating the cycle. You're just chasing. That's what I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The Jags are chasing. They're always chasing. But when you're chasing, you know what you do? You panic and you make mistakes.
Yeah.
They did it with Bortles. They did it with Foles. And this might be the time to not chase.
Yeah.
Let it go and then reel it in again in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
But it might take till 2021 to do it.
Okay. And as a fan, I hope that somehow in the midst of all that, they can still win.
By the way, I'm not saying that's the greatest way to do it, the right way to do it. I'm just saying that's how I read it. That's how I read that's what they're doing.
I wouldn't
and
argue.
That's why they kept some of this stuff around. And now some of these moves might be forcing them into that mode. Even like they didn't anticipate A.J. Boye being traded to the Broncos for a 4th-round pick. I still think they thought they could get something done with Yannick Ngakoue. And they knew they had some challenges along the way. But now some of these moves are forcing them maybe to speed this thing up toward that direction that I mentioned. More so, and that's kind of uncontrollable at this point right now because guys are asking to go potentially. And again, we don't know if A.J. Boye asked to go, but he's out the door regardless.
Sure, absolutely.
Hey, what do you got tonight? I know you got to get out of here. CBS 47, Fox 30 coming up at 5 o'clock.
Coming up at 5 o'clock, we are, of course, monitoring the coronavirus, and there are a lot of factors to that. But one thing I personally am watching closely, as I know a lot of people my age are doing, is the markets. And the Dow yesterday, I think I reported here that was up 1,300 points or so, which was a very nice recovery after the worst week since 2008 last week. Well, we lost half of that recovery today, down the Dow 785 points today. So I called it #Tough Tuesday. Not terrible Tuesday, but Tough Tuesday.
Yeah. We're used to that in Jacksonville.
Well,
usually has to go with the Jags. But
gosh, yeah. Well, I was hoping that we could have some good news on that front today, but we had some good news yesterday. So, Mondays are usually tough around here, so yesterday was good, I guess, with the market. So there's that. And then the other thing, so we have a lot of coronavirus coverage, and we also have a special at 6:30. The thing here, too, is we always try to separate fact from fiction. One thing I wanted to point out just very clearly here, and that is, again, locally, not a concern. Obviously, people are being careful. We want to prevent it from getting here and spreading here. But the reality of this thing is that there are about 91,000 new cases of coronavirus or cases of coronavirus reported, most of them in China. Almost 50,000 people have already recovered. Okay, there have been 3,000 deaths in this, and again, most of them in China. 45 to 50,000 people have already recovered of those 90,000 cases, right? So that's more than half have already recovered. So again, we're doing a special. We're getting a lot of coverage on this because it is top of mind. It is something that a lot of people are talking about, and you should be aware of it. You don't necessarily need to be overly concerned and certainly not panicking about it, but we want to educate you so that you can be aware of it. And that's what we're doing, and we've got a lot of coverage on it. We also have other news as well, including one wreck on 95 near 16, State Road 16, right, where the outlet malls are down there in St. Augustine. Just north of there was a wreck this morning, and then not long after there was a vehicle fire in the same spot. And so we're looking at what leaders are doing because, as you know, there are like 7 miles between those exits, up and down 95 through northern St. Johns County. And so we're looking at what leaders can do. And believe it or not, they are working on that because this happens fairly regularly where 95 is shut down, and then you get just a log jam of traffic getting off and going up US 1. There's some things they're working on to make those detours better for drivers in St. Johns County. So we've got some news on that.
All right. One thing about the coronavirus, by the way, PGA Tour, NBA, I think MLB have all issued statements, I think, monitoring the coronavirus. Obviously, the PGA Tour Players' Championship coming, NBA with the Orlando Magic right down the road. But I think you also said something interesting about it, at least from my perspective, and I haven't dug into this thing very, very much, but the messaging at times, the sense of, oh, my goodness, around the coronavirus, which I don't think should be taken lightly, has seemed like it's the plague. And yet it's really more like the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's widespread right now. So it's just kind of interesting. So I appreciate you talking about the fact and fiction part of it, and we'll have that tonight at 6:30 on Fox 30, a half-hour special. Go ahead.
Hey, John, quick question for you, man. Totally off topic. We were talking about it earlier on the show. I'm not sure if you're listening or not, but I have a question for you.
Okay. I wasn't listening to the first part. I'm sorry,
okay.
But go ahead.
Well,
so this will be new.
Well, and believe me, better come correct here.
Oh, boy.
Miley Cyrus or Selena Gomez?
Well, I know who you're gonna say.
Well, hey! Don't let me influence you, right? Because I'm at UNF Arena right now, man. I'm a ways away from you.
I'm gonna be honest.
I can run to you right now. I can run to you.
I know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I know the answer, and I agree with you. It is Miley Cyrus.
Let's go,
down.
Brent. Let's go.
Hands down, and you want to know why?
Let's go. Bring up those basketballs. Let's go.
I'll tell you why. Miley Cyrus did what was this? She did a Audio Slave song remake. I'm drawing a blank on which one it was.
I know it's
it was phenomenal.
Like a Stone, right?
Yes.
Or not? Yes.
I think it might have been.
I got you. Yep.
Go look it up. It is outstanding. So while I'm not necessarily a fan of some of her lighter works, and she seems to be a bit off, perhaps.
Okay, that's a nice way to put it.
But she is, there's no denying she's talented. And that particular song that she did shows just how talented she is. How's that?
All right. So somehow we fit Vitamins, Jockstrap, Miley Cyrus, and Selena Gomez in between an A.J. Boye trade and breaking news. I had a show in the first 9 minutes.
I had to know, man.
Thank you very much. John Bachman, Tanika Hughes, Mike Borish, and the Action Sports Jacks team tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30 starts at 5 o'clock. Thanks, John.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. We will come back and talk more about the A.J. Boye situation. A couple more thoughts on this. Is it just the NFL, or is it a Jags problem? The 2017 defense now looks like the 2020 defense. Also, what A.J. Boye is saying about the trade that's about to happen and how he found out.
Interesting.
Or on the Boye trade coming up. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. We're live from UNF Arena, River City Rumble tonight. Come on out to this one. JU and UNF, both 3 wins away from going dancing here in March. This is what it all comes down to this week, and it'll be at UNF Arena, 7 o'clock tip time. I'll have the call on ESPN Plus as well. Stick with us here on ESPN 690. For minutes, we'll be back.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and warm today, highs in the low 80s and only dropping into the low to mid 60s tonight. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
ESPN 690 welcomes Blackberry Smoke to Daly's Place on August 22nd. Visit the contest page on ESPN690.com now and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Blackberry Smoke live with ESPN 690.
Hey, boss, is it just me, or have you noticed more Safe Touch security signs on this street?
I did notice. 8 out of the last 10 houses were Safe Touch houses.
Boss, maybe this has something to do with it. Listen.
And the Safe Touch two-way communicator provides the fastest emergency response available.
Oh, goody.
Get yours
now
now.
Bill O'Reilly is spreading the word about Safe Touch. You know what this means, don't you?
That more people are going to hear Bill O'Reilly talking about Safe Touch?
Well, yeah, but it also means more people are going to check into Safe Touch.
Oh, and then they're going to find out how good Safe Touch is.
And get Safe Touch.
And every new Safe Touch house is a house scratched off our target list.
Exactly. Because we got to stick to the Crooks of Us motto, stay away from Safe Touch houses. I used to like that guy.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
The NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series is headed to Gainesville Raceway for the Emily Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, March 12th through 15th. Kids 12 and under are free in general admission. Get tickets early and save at NHRA.com.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping, with a laser focus on celebrating your special moments. Every associate, every receptionist, every jewelry craftsman, every single person at Diamonds Direct shares this DNA, this overwhelming desire to exceed your expectations, to honor your trust, to revel in your moment, to make your experience truly magical. This is not a mission statement written on our wall. This is the essence of who we are. It's what drives us every day. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. For real.
CGC Water Treatment is celebrating Connecticut's 50th year anniversary with 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. That's the one I have at my home. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Get the peace of mind knowing you're drinking great tasting purified water. Call 904-694-2242. Financing available with approved credit. 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. Tell them Brent sent you. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
After a car accident, you can feel like you've lost control. I'm Eli Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Our legal team can help you understand your options after an accident. We will file your claim and fight for the full compensation you deserve. If you've been involved in a car accident, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation. And take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
Hey, boss! You're not gonna believe who I just heard endorsing Safe Touch Security on the radio.
Who?
Bill O'Reilly.
The Bill O'Reilly?
Yep.
You're yanking my chain.
I thought you might say that, which is why I recorded this off the radio. Listen.
So please call my friends at Safe Touch Security and get true professional equipment, professional installation, and the only monitoring center anywhere with a guaranteed response time.
This is not good news. Now more people will feel compelled to check out Safe Touch, and they'll find out about the two-way communicator and that guaranteed response time he was talking about.
Which will create more Safe Touch customers.
See? Not good news for us crooks.
Because we gotta stick to the Crooks or Us motto, stay away from Safe Touch houses. Dang it, Bill O'Reilly's making our job harder.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
First Coast No More Homeless Pets Veterinary Hospital provides premium veterinary care for less. 7 days a week, a full range of services with compassionate care. Pet owners shouldn't have to choose between paying bills or a healthy pet. Call 425-0005, 425-0005, or fcnmhp.org.
Golick and Wingo.
Andy Reid went into Super Bowl 54 with 221 career wins. So that means he got his 222nd career win on 2/2/20.
Golick and Wingo. Weekdays at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30. Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Well, we do have some young corners in Trey and Perry Nickerson that are ready to step in, and obviously we felt DJ Hayden played a tremendous role for us as a nickel corner, but AJ is definitely an asset for us.
That is Dave Caldwell talking about the cornerback situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, that was last week before the news of A.J. Boye happened, and that just went down here in the last hour. The Jacksonville Jaguars trading away A.J. Boye to the Denver Broncos for a fourth-round pick that will go into motion when the league year starts March 18th, and that's the news of the day. Good move, bad move, it can be debated. If you think the Jaguars were going to cut A.J. Boye anyway, well, pretty good move. They got a fourth-round pick in return.
Sure.
You know, I mean, this almost goes back to like the Blaine Gabbert pick. You know, I mean, they were cutting them. They got a sixth-round pick in return. They got something. But a fourth-round pick now, that's a questionable starter pick. And now the Jaguars have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds here in 2020. That's a 2020 pick. So that could be a very good selection for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Heck, you could find a corner of value in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, A.J. Boye was an undrafted guy, and he's turned into a pretty darn good football player. A couple of things. I continue to read things, and they say that Boye did not play well. I do not agree with it.
Yeah.
Like, I read something the other day again, and it was like as soon as Ramsey got out and he couldn't handle this, listen, they hardly threw the ball. And nobody threw the ball against the Jags in the last, 8 games because they kept running all over them. So I just don't get that narrative that he wasn't any good. Now, was he all-pro level, Pro Bowl level? I don't think so. But I also don't think he was eyesore level, bad, all those things that people are saying. I do not think that was it. In fact, I genuinely believe the Jaguars were going to do everything they could to keep A.J. Boye on the roster.
Yeah.
I don't think they wanted to create this hole. If you look at the way the Jags have done business over the years, they do not like to go into the draft with these big-time holes on their roster. And this one puts a big hole on their roster. Now, they've got time in free agency, which is why I believe they will go get one of those free agent corners, and they will give them money, and they will bring them in, and they will at least have a body in place that you can feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then they maybe will draft. They'll definitely draft one, I think. I don't know how high they will draft one. And, of course, how high you draft one is probably the impact that person can have in the rookie season, if any. So I think the Jaguars liked A.J. Boye. The other thing about this, I think, is A.J. Boye was one of the guys in that free agent class that came in 2017 that all the bad moves that this front office made, whether it was Coughlin and Caldwell and Kahn and you name it.
Sure.
He was another one of those guys that they spent money on that worked. He was an all-pro. He was a Pro Bowler. He was part of the best tandem that year, and I think he was pretty good years after. And, again, it depends how you thought he did after Ramsey left. But He was certainly a good veteran presence in the room. He was a good guy in the room. I mean, he was totally different than Ramsey. You know, he was it was a nice mixture because Ramsey was that guy and Boye was kind of this calm, cool, collected guy that you really didn't hear much from. So it made for a good dynamic. I think it balanced each other out. And in 17, they were fantastic together. So I think it's worth noting that of all the moves that the Jags make, and we always say all the moves that they haven't made well, and they stink on this and they mess this up and they done this. Well, the A.J. Boye move was a good move. The Calais Campbell move was a good move. So they've made some of those good moves. That's how they got good in 17. They flipped that around essentially in a year. They had drafted some of that talent with Jalen Ramsey, with Miles Jack, with Yannick Ngakoue. But then they traded for Darius, added Calais, added A.J. Boye. So I just give you 3 guys they drafted well and 3 guys they complemented with big signings or trades. Yeah. And bam, they made that defense one of the best the NFL has seen this decade.
Well, and listen, if you want to question about just how well A.J. Boye played last year, Vic Fangio now, the current head coach of the Denver Broncos, a guy who I played in the system a lot. Vic Fangio runs a lot of press coverages, okay? And he asks a lot from his corners. So for Vic to come out, trade for A.J. Boye for a 4th-round pick, it goes to show you just what they think of A.J. Boye, okay? Now, once again, from the Jaguars' perspective, the guy had 2 years on his contract left, I believe. Obviously, he commanded a lot of money, $13 million this year. You get a 4th-round pick for him. So I'm not upset with that at all. But obviously now comes the question, just like the Jalen Ramsey trade. The Jalen Ramsey trade, sure, it looks great for the Jaguars, but the question is, how do you use those picks now to your benefit? Just like the question's going to come now, how do you replace A.J. Boye, and how do you use that 4th-round pick that you got for him?
Yeah, and that's a good way to look at it, too. I mean, they're willing to take on that kind of salary, and, again, they had to replace Chris Harris. 2 years left on the A.J. Boye deal, by the way. So we'll see how it impacts them. It does leave a hole. They have to do some things in free agency, but it frees up money. Mm-hmm. The Jaguars just freed up $13 million more in money, at least on the face value of it. I got to check the dead money and all that stuff. But the bottom line is they freed up some money, and now they have more maneuvering that they can do. Do you think this locks them into keeping Calais at his current rate? Will they even ask him to take a pay cut now? Would you ask him to take a pay cut? And I'm trying to think from the organization side now, not just the player side, because you now have the flexibility. Do you say, hey, Calais, don't worry about that cut. We got money now freed up the way this all worked out? Or did that money do you still feel like there might be a little bit tight because they got $19 million for the tag on Yannick, $15 million in Calais? You know, who knows where the money lands.
So to me, do you ask Calais for the cut? It all depends what you envision in him playing. If you only want Calais to play maybe 15 to 20 snaps a game, primarily in pass rushing, well then, yeah, if you're the Jaguars, you absolutely have to ask for that cut because he's not going to be playing every single down like you're paying someone of that stature to play. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars going forward think, you know what, we think Calais has a lot left in the tank. We think that he is an every down defensive tackle. We think that he can average, maybe 40 to 50 plays per game. Well, if that's the case, then no, you don't ask him for a pay cut. So to me, the pay cut comes into play where you ask him or where you come to him and say, you know what, you play this many snaps, and this is what you're going to make. At the same time, you have to be careful, too, because you don't want to rub him the wrong way, right? Like, this guy's done everything by the book. He's been a model citizen for the organization, and he's done everything the Jaguars' way. So from that perspective, too, you got to be careful not to offend him a little bit because of all of the trauma and all the controversy and all the stuff in the headlines and players being disgruntled. The one constant, it seems like, the one guy who's followed along, who has been a good soldier, is Calais Campbell.
Yeah, I think they'll end up keeping Calais Campbell. All right, the question I have out there right now is that defense that was so good, that all the players I just named, and you could go more, Telvin Smith, keep it coming, Tayshaun Gibson, Barry Church, Aaron Colvin. Mm-hmm. You take that defense and you say, is this just the nature of the NFL where rosters reload? We're now 4 seasons removed. We're going into a 4th season removed from 2017, or is it the Jags?
No, it's by far the Jags. Okay, now yes, it is a combination of both. But listen, I'm very adamant again, and apologize to me for repeating myself, but I want to drive this point home. It's the fact that you cannot re-sign your draft picks that you bring in. Okay, if you look at every Super Bowl team, 9 times out of 10. the guys in that locker room that are the leaders, the guys in that locker room that are the playmakers, are the guys that have come up through the system, have been rewarded for their play, and have chose to stay on that team. Now, yes, you bring in Calais Campbell, you bring in Malik Jackson, right? You bring in A.J. Boye, and that paid off dividends, right? But to me, man, the free agent, it's always kind of the temporary fix. The free agent is the guy you can bring in for a couple years if you're on the point of, maybe going to the playoffs and be like, you know what, this free agent signing, it's going to put us over the hump. It's going to get us where we need to be. However, when you go through the draft, when you do your due diligence, when you bring guys in that you scouted and, try to mold them to your way, well, those are the guys that you can build for 10 to 12 years. Those are the guys that you want around for their entire career. So while the free agent, it can be the sexy pick, and it can be the Band-Aid that can stop the bleeding right from the get-go. To me, it's the draft picks that you keep around the team that kind of set you up for the long run, I guess you would say.
Yeah, and that's true. And you can listen, those guys, that draft class of Miles Jack, Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue. Well, you're without Ramsey, and Ngakoue's teetering on the edge. Mm-hmm. You might be with him for one more year. You might not be with him at all. Sure. So certainly it can be the case. I just wonder, 4 years is a long time. And so if I look at, like, Calais Campbell, if you when you signed him 3 years, and you got the 3 years you got out of him, you said, oh, that was great. Mm-hmm. In 16, you actually signed Malik Jackson, but the couple of years they got out of Malik Jackson before they let him go, I think it was 3 years, you say, great. Right? Marcel Darius, you got that trade in the 3 years? Great.
Yeah.
Yannick's different in that sense. Dante Fowler, depends how you feel. In my opinion, Yannick Ngakoue and Dante Fowler were never going to coexist, and you were never going to pay them both anyway. So that wouldn't have been in the plan. So you wouldn't have been able to – that might be the casualty of the NFL. And just say, well, we got to pick and return and all that stuff.
And keep in mind, there were some issues with Dante off the field as well.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, he went through some trials and tribulations. So, one could argue, too, if he wasn't doing things, necessarily the quote-unquote Jaguars way as well.
Yeah, and so then you go to the linebackers, and Telvin Smith retires out of the blue. Miles Jack's still here and extended.
Keep in mind, you still have Leon Jacobs as well, who was part of that team back in 2017.
He was minor, though. Paul Posluszny retired.
Yeah.
Tayshaun Gibson was making $9 million. Do you count that as a bad move for the Jags or a casualty of the cap? And now what some would say is that was that Bortles money hurt keeping a guy like Gibson last year.
Yeah.
But by now you would think he would be gone anyway. Again, a free agent signing back in 16 or 17, and he stays 3 or 4 years.
Sure. Yeah, you're probably not going to bring him back for another 3 or 4 years again.
Keep in mind, Aaron Colvin, they replaced with DJ Hayden.
Yeah.
In fact, you may have gotten better.
Yep.
So the glaring thing, Barry Church got old. Ronnie Harrison started to play anyway.
And I stand corrected. Leon Jacobs was here in 2018. He wasn't part of the playoff team. I stand corrected.
Good.
2018.
I wasn't completely sure of that one.
He was here,
and now you look at the corners, and that's the glaring one, right? Yeah. Is A.J. Boye, again, you got him for 3 years on that kind of money. You probably did what you could. That's the NFL. Mm-hmm. Ramsey's a different one. So really, if I go through this with you, Ramsey and Jan are the ones that speak to, well, that's the Jags. The rest is kind of just the way the NFL goes. And what you have to be able to do is draft and replace, or free agent and replace. And it's usually draft and replace.
And keep in mind, too, I mean, because obviously I think there's some holes right now at the linebacker position as well. And Jake Ryan was a guy that was brought in, to try to play that middle linebacker spot. He had some success in Green Bay, set aside from when he got hurt. And, in a perfect world, Jake Ryan comes in this year, plays very well, earns that starting, middle linebacker spot, move Miles Jack to outside, and everything's hunky-dory for the third time, I think, this week. But, unfortunately, Jake Ryan's...
Third time now. You're pushing your luck.
Oh, I know,
You may
man.
want to change hunky-dory to something else.
All right, we're going to switch it up next week.
Rip a song from Miley Cyrus.
We'll go ahead and switch it up next week. But, so, with Jake Ryan, obviously he gets hurt. He has a setback, and they don't bring him back because, well, he's shown the team nothing. So, from that perspective as well, I mean, there was some plans in place to, going forward to kind of sign some of those guys. Unfortunately, injuries and things like that and the setbacks, those things happen as well.
Yeah, and again, I think it's a little bit of mix, like you said. But battle, I think what sticks out, and immediately it'll be interesting to see if anybody's answered my question.
What was your question? You could ask me it.
Well, I did ask you. I said,
okay.
Is it just the nature of the NFL?
Okay, I got
right?
you.
Is it the nature of the NFL to have to reload that? Or is it the Jags' problem? And it's a combination. I think a lot of those guys are the nature of the NFL. If they get another good year out of Calais Campbell, heck, they've gotten their money's worth, and we already believe they have. Mm-hmm. But to get a fourth year out of Calais Campbell at that kind of level would be unbelievable, really. Mm-hmm. So you plan in free agency when you sign these guys to probably get 2 or 3 years out of them.
Yeah.
I think the Jags did a good amount of that. Now, the problem is, and the remedy here would have been if they had come to an agreement with Yannick Ngakoue, if they could have figured that out, you would almost say, you know what, Ramsey's Ramsey, and you got 2 first-round picks on a fourth for him, and that one's okay. Mm-hmm. But the backing up now of Ramsey and Ngakoue kind of are the eyesore right now of that, like, that's the Jags' fault. This defense went from that in 17 to this. But really, if you look at the numbers of it all and the players of it all, it's really the NFL. A lot of it's the NFL outside of Ngakoue and Ramsey.
Sure.
And again, I think if Ramsey was isolated, I don't think we would be saying that's the Jags. That's the Jags. I think Jan is the one that kind of adds to that.
But predominantly, at least from my perspective, in the NFL, though, too, as well, Brent, you don't bring in 4 or 5 free agents to rely on to get you to the promised land. Right? Like usually how it works in the NFL is you build through the draft, and when you're on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl, that's when you go after the free agent guys. That's when you go after the guys that can put you over. The Jacksonville Jaguars kind of did it a different way. And you know what? They were kind of the outliers, and hey, let's be honest, it worked in 2017, right? They had a lot of production from their free agent kind of guys, and they spent a lot of money for that, and it is what it is. But they couldn't sustain that type of stuff. And that's my point here, where it's always good for a flash in the pan sometimes when you bring in a lot of free agents, but for the long road consistency, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the Seahawks, like the Ravens of now, you build through the draft, and when you're established yourself, then you go after your guys.
You build through the draft, but you also have the QB. And
yeah,
see,
that helps.
You know, very much like the Jaguars in terms of hitting on free agency, and now they won big. Jags didn't win big. Mm-hmm. What was Denver? Denver hit with the DeMarcus Wares of the world, right? And Correct. They brought them in, and they brought a bunch of guys in.
Well, they
Brandon
Marshall. They brought in Terrence Knighton.
Terrence Knighton, you know. So, but then they had a 2-year run.
Mm-hmm.
They, I think, lost to Seattle in the Super Bowl, mm-hmm. and then with a weakening Peyton Manning, won.
Correct.
And then that was it. And you know why that was it? Because they didn't have the quarterback anymore. You know,
sure.
It wasn't just because of everything. It was just they didn't have the quarterback anymore. Maybe they didn't draft as well either, but they didn't have the quarterback anymore. So what bridges you through these times, much like we talk about Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger, and now even what's kind of going on in Baltimore with them finding a QB, is the QB. And it just always goes back to the QB. You can recycle the roster on the defensive end, the offensive end, if you have the QB and still be somewhat successful. Keep treading water. Mm-hmm. Keep being a factor. Keep being relevant. And then you go for it all when you have the chance to go for it all. The Jags just haven't been able to do that, much in part because not only they haven't had the quarterback, but they've missed in the dollars on the quarterback and the investments in the quarterback, whether it was Bortles with the pick, Bortles with the money, Foles with the money, and now we got to hope in Jacksonville that they hit with Minshew. So it's crazy how it all comes back to that. One other thought on this. I think this also shows. You can keep Calais, you can try to get stuff done with Jan. You've already got Miles. And whatever else you do, and you're going to draft defense a little bit. But this also will start to signify a move that I think we've talked about a little bit, that you're going to start shifting the dollars on defense that you've spent over the years and start putting them on the offensive side of the football. You have to start investing more on the offensive side of the football, and maybe in a risky way, if you want to start scoring points and keep up with the Joneses on offense, and provide quarterbacks, young guy or well-invested guy, the best chance to succeed. And the Jaguars have not been good enough, have not been dynamic enough on offense. And so I think this helps show you the shift. You know, we've talked about, is this kind of a reload of the roster? Is this kind of a reshuffle, and they're helping you do that and pushing you toward that way? Well, it might be. You're clearing cap space, you're getting more young guys, all those things. But it also, to me, at the very least, will signify a move to the offensive side of the football in terms of investments. When free agency, they need to go do what? Get tight ends.
Sure.
They need to maybe get another running back, even in the draft. Tight end. Maybe change of pace running back. Mm-hmm. They need to go get another pass catcher on the outside, whether it's free agency or the draft. So my point is you're going to see some of these dollars now invested on the other side of the football. And they already are, of course, with Nick Foles. They tried to do that a year early, and that obviously has blown up in their face.
And it's one thing to keep in mind, too. Listen, I agree with you where you have to invest on offense, obviously help your quarterback out. but you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you have the right quarterback involved. I'm talking about Gardner Minshew, all right? Because we've seen this story play out before. We've seen the Los Angeles Rams spend a lot of money on their offense, right? Whether it was the receivers, Brandon Cooks, whether it was Todd Gurley, give him a new contract. And let's be honest right now, I don't know how confident people are with the Los Angeles Rams going forward right now, that they kind of went with that all-in approach right away. But once again, is Jared Goff going to be the guy going forward? You gave him all the pieces around him, and he's got a star-studded cast, but can the quarterback elevate that kind of play?
Well, here's the deal. With the moves they've made, and it's a great comparison, if Goff is not the guy, Les Snead loses his job because he looks like a moron for what he's given up.
Yep.
If Goff is the guy, he'll help you bridge that. He'll help you bridge and cover some of the mistakes you've maybe made. One more hour to go, and we'll be talking more football, maybe even a little baseball as well, and the River City Rumble. It's coming up next. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Most ads interrupt your music with dialogue. This ad interrupts it with more music, and that's marginally better. Thanks, Giant Snickers Hole.
The world is out of sorts. We need to fix it quicker. We're gonna fix the world by feeding it Snickers. We're taking a huge role. It's a huge role. Dropping it right in. It's a dumb thing to do, so dumb. But if it works, we all win.
Basketball season is heating up. It's the time when the standings begin to take shape and real competitors discover just how far they can go.
Goodyear knows the road to the playoffs takes the right amount of momentum and drive, and that movement is the path to discovering your true potential.
So on your drive, Goodyear wants to help you discover your own possibilities, no matter where the road leads.
When it comes to choosing tires, visit Goodyear.com and pursue the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven.
I'm calling all hockey fans. The Jacksonville Icemen are at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What's up, everybody? It's Austin Land on ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. And if you've never experienced the intensity and excitement of a Jacksonville Icemen's game, well, you better step your game up and take it from me. This is an experience that you don't want to miss. The Icemen take on the Florida Everblades this Friday, the Atlanta Gladiators this Saturday, and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits this Sunday. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday and 3:30 p.m. this Sunday. This Saturday against the Atlanta Gladiators is also a special game. The Icemen are putting on the Future Stars of Sports event, a celebration of all youth athletes. Former Jacksonville Jaguars player Najee Good will also be at the game, and if you purchase 50 or more tickets at www.jaxiceman.com/sports, you can be a part of the meet and greet and hang out with Najee Good himself. Don't miss out on the intensity and fun at the Jacksonville Icemen games this Friday through Sunday. Visit jaxiceman.com for tickets and more info.
It's the home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18, and it can be your home course as well. The Golf Club at Southampton in North St. Johns County, located off County Road 210, family owned and operated, and a fun course to play. The Golf Club at Southampton offers club membership programs starting at just $79. With its elite practice facility and player-friendly golf course design, it will be your gateway to a great time with the family or with your buddies. Become a member in 2020. For more information, call the Golf Club at Southampton at 904-287-PLAY.
Hey, race fans, NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing returns to Gainesville Raceway, March 12th through the 15th with the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Watch the pros battle side by side at over 330 miles per hour. Come out and join the Seal Master Track Walk on Sunday morning and hang out in the fan zone during pre-race festivities. Don't miss this free opportunity. Get your seats now at NHRA.com. NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing, March 12th through the 15th, Gainesville Raceway. Speed for all.
CGC Water Treatment is celebrating Connecticut's 50th year anniversary with 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier Softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. That's the one I have at my home. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Financing available with approved credit. Don't waste money on bottled water. Call 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
Family is big around here. We're family-owned, family-operated, family-managed. And that means legacy. That means dependability. That means using Grainger. With over 1.5 million products and knowledgeable product experts, Grainger has whatever we need. And with same-day pickup and next-day delivery options, they have it whenever we need it. For over 90 years, businesses like ours have trusted Grainger. Because, like family, Grainger's got our back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
CNBC breaking news. Superstar outfielder Christian Yelich and the Brewers deep into discussions on an extension expected to run 9 years and be worth in the neighborhood of $215 million. Both sides believing the deal will get done. Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge feeling better, but will have more tests as the team tries to pinpoint the cause of soreness in his right pectoral muscle and shoulder. Growing sense among the Yankees that Judge has turned a corner with his rehab, but they will be cautious with their slugger, explains ESPN's Alex Rodriguez.
Here's a guy who's, 6'7", 285. He looks like an NFL tight end. He runs like a deer, and he's very fluid. You have to make sure that when he gets going, he's good to go, because one injury here and another one really can set the entire year, and you'll be running at a deficit. You'll never catch up.
A-Rod on Golick and Wingo. Earlier today, Yankees Red Sox featured on ESPN's All Access MLB Spring Training. Coverage continues tomorrow with the Cardinals and Mets, 1 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app.
You love iced tea. It's smooth and refreshing with just the right flavor. You also love to be a little twisted. That's why Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea has everything you love, because it's made with real brewed tea and a kick. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Be a little twisted. Drink responsibly.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jags.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
You guys think I look like the fat redheaded kid from Sandlot?
No. I'm changing my alias this year, but that was my alias on the road the last 5 years, Hamilton Porter.
Really? No way.
So my wife would order room service or something, and she hates it because it would always be like, "Good afternoon, Mrs. Porter."
Oh, that's more of Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant mic'd up during that spring training game. Just fantastic stuff. And maybe talk a little bit more about that. We wanted to get to it, but obviously we had some breaking news, so we haven't got to it just yet. A.J. Boye traded to the Denver Broncos, and, a good move for the Jags in the sense that if they weren't going to bring him back, or if they couldn't afford to bring him back, they lose $13 million salary. They get a fourth-round pick in return, so really not all bad in terms of return. Not sure it helps you in 2020, but if you make use of that fourth-round pick. And now the Jaguars have some capital where they can really package some things together and go up and get somebody, move further back. I mean, this is really the way teams get better. I'm not saying the Jags are going to be able to do that, but this is the way it happens. When you have this much of a stockpile of draft picks, and then, of course, you have to do well with them. And you're not going to hit on every draft pick, but the Jaguars need to do a really good job. That's how you can fix it. That's how you can build it. Will they be able to make the right choices? Well, there's not a lot of trust and equity built up in this fan base that this regime will be able to do that. So we'll see. But I will say, again, I did that study on Baltimore. The one thing Baltimore had when I looked back at the Jags from 2013 onward is Baltimore had like 10 more draft picks. And the only other thing that they had done was they beefed it up. They had drafted offensive linemen and defensive linemen more than the Jags.
Sure.
And they took a chance on a quarterback, and it's hit. So, you can do it. And this is one way to do it, is get more picks. The Patriots have done this for years. Now, again, they had the quarterback the whole time, so they didn't have to go grasping for quarterbacks. But the Patriots have, for a long time, had a lot of picks. Now, this year they don't. I think I heard they have one pick in the top 80.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is very un-Patriot-like to have one draft pick in the top 80 selections of this draft.
Which also makes you nervous for Tom Brady going forward, where if Tom Brady is indeed going to be, a free agent and go someplace else, I mean, there literally is no backup plan right now in New England, and they don't have the draft capital to trade up and get somebody either.
So anyway, A.J. Boye goes away. What do you think about all the Jalen Ramsey tweets? I think Yannick just tweeted.
Oh, the Beyonce stuff?
Yeah.
Do we have to go with the Yannick Ngakoue breakdown?
Well,
Twitter
this
breakdown
one's not
quick?
hard to break out. He
Okay.
He wrote on an article like on Instagram, replied, or maybe it was Twitter, and it was an article about the trade, and said something like, I'm sorry, maybe it was on AJ Boye's Instagram. It said, "How did you bond out?"
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's obviously they're having their day, they're having their fun a little bit, and that's something that the players from Jalen hasn't let off that gas pedal since he left town.
Of course.
Which also shows you a little bit, I think, of his immaturity that he still plays that card. I mean, now it's in the distance past, but he's still.
Yeah.
I guess he's still talking about his peers and his
Sure.
buddies and his teammates.
Well, and this is the world that we live in now, Brent, and like it or not, usually when you make more noise, you get what you want, okay? Say what you want about Jalen Ramsey, but the guy went to Los Angeles, and he seems pretty happy there now. He's not in Jacksonville anymore. So in his eyes, I think he thinks Jalen Ramsey won, okay? And that was because he caused the distractions, he voiced his displeasure, and essentially the guy got what he wanted. Now with A.J. Boye, listen, we don't know if A.J. Boye didn't want to be in Jacksonville. We have no idea. You know why? Because A.J. Boye is that quiet kind of dude. He doesn't really voice his displeasures. He handles it like a professional, and it is what it is from that perspective. I take it takes all types to be in a locker room, and A.J. Boye, I think, was a constant professional. Well, A.J. Boye is now in Denver, and maybe he's happy about it. Maybe he's a little disappointed. I mean, we found out he was literally taking his kids, I think, on the way from school or whatever, taking them home, and he found out just out of the blue. So it seemed a little unexpected to him. But at the same time, it just goes to show you, man, whether you're loud and boisterous like Jalen Ramsey was, whether you're, maybe a little more low-key but put cryptic stuff out there like Yannick Ngakoue was last year, now he's a little louder. Either way, if you're not going to be on the team, man, they'll find somewhere else to put you.
Yeah,
okay, let's just put it like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up about A.J. Boye because we had suggested, hey, did he want out? Mm-hmm. Did he ask out? Well, there's a lot of reports coming out of Denver that the reason they went after this, they didn't want to get themselves in a bidding war, and they had a little extra capital from the Emmanuel Sanders trade with San Francisco. So they said, hey, we're going to use that here. Instead of getting into a free agency bidding war, we'll get ahead of it. So you can see the smarts on that. Instead of whoever's out there as a corner, we got a guy that we know what his salary is. We don't have to amp it up and bid and get in that whole thing. And we'll give up a fourth-round draft pick. But again, that's lucky for the Jags that there was a team willing to do that and willing to give up a little bit of capital because, again, a fourth-round draft pick, don't sleep on that. That's pretty good. I mean, that's been pretty good over the years for a lot of teams.
But it goes to show you, like, the way the Denver Broncos have used their draft picks, right? Like I said before on the show, Fangio, he's a big corner guy. He wants his guys to press coverage, play cover two a lot, and then he runs that base defense. From that perspective, Brent, you give up a fourth-round pick and obviously take on his contract as well, but you essentially give up a fourth-round pick for A.J. Boye. Well, what are the Jaguars doing with their fifth-round picks the past couple of years, right? They give up one for Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs has never played a game in Jacksonville. I get it. It was more of an emergency type of trade than anything. But let's be honest. You gave away a fifth-round pick for that and also a fifth-round pick away for Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde was a nightmare in Jacksonville. Didn't work out here. So it goes to show you, though, with your draft capital, the Jaguars now have a fourth-round pick. What you do with that, we shall see. But it goes to show you, man, like between the fourth and fifth round picks, you saw what Denver did with theirs with their fourth round, and you see what Jacksonville's done with their fifth round picks lately.
Yeah, it's a good call and a fair one. I will just say there's a big difference, I think, that from a viewpoint around the league of what a fourth round pick will pull you rather than what a fifth round pick will. Now, there's examples of both.
Sure.
I'm just saying I think the fourth round value versus there's a cutoff. There's a drop off. And I don't know what the chart says. I don't read that chart that they make. But again, I think there's more value at times in that fourth round pick. I think from a GM standpoint, from an inside the building standpoint, than in that fifth round. And the top four pick rounds, they don't want to part with. And there's been a lot of deals that haven't got done because people want a fourth round pick, but they're willing to give up the fifth or sixth.
Okay.
So again, it's your point's on. I'm just saying I think there is a difference. I think that's what some would say. All right, some comments here on the Facebook side of things. First, Brent, you left before the Creekside game was over. I know I did. I only stayed for a few innings last night. I was at a JV baseball game.
Yeah, places to be.
Brent, do you think they will trade Foles? So that's a question from William Daly. And before we answer that one, I like this from Neil Gunn. Is Jackson DeVille safe this year, or will he be shipped away as well? You never know. But is Foles next? There's some scuttlebutt, right, coming out of the draft.
Sure.
The combine. I keep calling the combine the draft. But there's certainly the rumors I think Peter King put it in his article that in the hallways, people are saying that they're going with
Guess
Gardner
what, man?
Minshew.
People are always talking in the hallways of the NFL Combine.
They're going with Gardner Minshew,
Yeah.
and they're looking to trade Foles if they could have a dance partner. He brought up the Indianapolis Colts. Again, Indianapolis is a very good landing spot if there was going to be one, and there might be only one or two possible landing spots for Nick Foles. But why does Indianapolis make sense? Well, because of Frank Reich and his relationship. They are extremely close, and there's a boatload of money available for the Indianapolis Colts. It doesn't matter if they take on that contract. Even if they want to go crazy in free agency, they have the ability. And they have an offensive line that is good. And so if you want Foles to perform, we now know that that offensive line better perform as well like they did in Philadelphia. At least the way it looked here in Jacksonville, the two didn't mesh, and Foles looked a mess.
Yeah.
So I still don't believe, man. I don't believe at all that Nick Foles is going somewhere else. There are too many quarterbacks on the market that don't come with that kind of price tag.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, when you talk about the quarterback position, Brent, yes, obviously talent is the most important thing. But sometimes it's about the connections as well. I think a big part of why Nick Foles came to Jacksonville last year was because John DeFilippo, all right? John DeFilippo was a big part of why Nick Foles became the Super Bowl MVP. Now, if Jacksonville could have it their way, would they trade Nick Foles? I think in a heartbeat.
I think you're
They want to get that contract off the books. They want to go with the younger guy. Let's be honest. I think the reason why Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell still have a job is because of Gardner Minshew. So with that being said, you want to see Nick Foles, get off the books, and you want basically just want to wash your hands of the whole thing, right? It didn't work out. We got a younger guy now. Thanks for your service. It didn't work out. Go look someplace else. That's the ideal situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What it comes down to, Brent, though, is Nick Foles' style keen to any NFL team? And I think if we're going to look at it, you don't have a mobile guy in Nick Foles, so you need a strong offensive line. The Colts have that. You need a pretty strong tight end presence with Nick Foles. Jack Doyle, not too shabby. Eric Ebron going to be a free agent, so we'll see how that pans out. You still got T.Y. Hilton. You got some, guys like Charles Rodgers who are younger but on the come up and everything like that. And you got a head coach who knows him best, right? So from that perspective, Brent, I mean, I get it's just rumors from the NFL Combine, but they always say where there's smoke, there's fire. So it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, listen, I don't discount for a moment that Shad Khan, this front office, wouldn't mind trading Foles and getting out from the mistake that it looks like, because to me, again, it depends your point of view. And I think most people's point of view on this is Gardner Minshew's going to be the guy in 2020. Now, I think the one guy that still I would say I'd want him on my team is Marrone, because I want that ace, at least what I feel like could be an ace, in my back pocket in case the Minshew experiment just goes crazy bad in the first month or in camp or anywhere else.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just talking him. I think
you.
everybody else would say, oh, yeah, Minshew's going to be the guy. Let's get out from that contract. And by the way, Shad Khan, I think, would say the same. He doesn't have to pay that, even if it's not this huge relief on the cap, which I think it ends up being about $3 million once it washes out. It's not huge money on the cap. But I think the actual dollars, Shad Khan still has to pay for this guy to sit on his bench. And so getting him out of here, and whatever capital you could get in return, even if it's a 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick, whatever it might be, is another draft pick potentially for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, yeah, I think they would love for it to happen. I think most people here in Jacksonville would love for it to happen. And to me, this is not even a knock on Foles. Heck, I think Foles might be asking for it to happen. If you're not going to ride with me, well, then put me in a spot where I can go play.
Oh,
you
without a
told
doubt.
me I was going to be the guy, and I'm not the guy. So I think it's fair for him to ask out. He could certainly ask out. I'm just telling you, I don't think it's happening. There's too many quarterbacks on the market.
Well,
and too many questionable quarterbacks, and Foles comes with question marks, and so I highly doubt. Doubt he's not here in September.
Let me go ahead and ask you this though, Brent. Okay, if you're the Indianapolis Colts right now, and you evaluate all the free agent quarterbacks, you evaluate the options in the NFL draft. If you're the Colts right now, and obviously, Jacoby, he was okay. He was par for the course. He didn't really put you above and beyond. You obviously have a pretty good team around him. He did what he did. If you're the Indianapolis Colts right now, then who are you pursuing at the quarterback position?
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers, number one. See, to me, that's surprising, though, Brent.
Well, wait, number one? I don't know number one.
Well, no.
My pool of players is Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, Tom Brady.
No, I'm asking. So, if you're the coach, you're taking Phillip Rivers number. Like, if you're pursuing somebody,
I'm taking Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Okay, yeah, but let's assume that doesn't work out.
Okay.
I mean,
well, then I'm probably taking Phillip Rivers.
Interesting.
And
Okay,
then I'm taking Teddy Bridgewater.
See, to me, Phillip Rivers, he's kind of an anomaly, man. Okay, and listen, I'm not going to say Nick Foles is better than Phillip Rivers, but you look at what Phillip Rivers had last year at his disposal. Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. That offense was loaded. And I get it, man. Your offensive line wasn't that great. But for what Phillip Rivers had at his disposal, man, he just didn't look like himself. And I think he's on the back end of his career. To me, Nick Foles is a little more interesting, and keep in mind, he has that relationship with the head coach as well.
Yeah, he does. And don't sleep on that. That's a very important thing. Heck, I think it's part of the whole connection here, like we have said, with DiFilippo and Foles ending up here. Didn't work out. But I think that could certainly be a play. I just think even if they want it to happen, even if they have discussions about it happening, I think pulling it off doesn't happen. Because there are too many options out there that could be just as good, if not better, for a team like the Indianapolis Colts with all that money. Keep in mind, they have a ton of money. They can pay whatever they want. Yeah. They're one of the most cap-rich teams in the NFL right now. They might be the most cap-rich team in the NFL. So they can pay whatever they want to pay for their guy if he's out there. And Frank Reich is well-liked. Frank Reich is well-respected. I think the offensive line, well-liked, well-respected. Young players on defense. Ballard's done a pretty good job with that roster. T.Y. Hilton, I think they could do more on the outside. Although they could do more, but they also have the resources to do more. Yeah. So
and also they have a pretty strong running game too.
But what do you say? Take Indianapolis out of it. Say they go after Phillip Rivers and they get Phillip Rivers. Can you even think of another team that might be interested in Nick Foles? The only team that even comes to mind for me would be the Patriots if Brady goes away. And I'm not even sure he would be the guy. I'm just saying that might come to mind. Like I would think about it.
How do you feel about Tampa?
Yeah, Tampa and Arians, maybe.
Yeah.
If they swing and miss on Brady, if they swing
just
and
with
miss
their
on
weapons,
Rivers,
I'm saying.
If they swing and miss on Bridgewater, again, he's not their first.
No,
option.
Absolutely not.
He's not their second option. He might be their fourth or fifth option.
Sure.
And I don't know their cap situation, but I think they do have room. If I'm not mistaken, I think they do have room. So, I mean, you can probably always find a landing spot, but I think it's going to be a tough dance partner. And I also think, again, I will say this, if I'm Doug Marrone, I'm not wishing that guy away. Because I still don't know what I have at QB and my job's on the line.
Brent, I just think from the philosophy, though, if you're playing the QB carousel game halfway through the season, you're not going to win. You're not going to have your job regardless, okay? Unless there's a catastrophe injury or something like that where Foles has to come in because he's the backup guy, I get that. But if you're trying to depend, let's put Foles in this game, then no, man, your job's not safe and you're probably going to get fired anyways. Simple as that.
Who else are the Jags going to trade away? I mean,
it's a fire sale right now, man.
I just shouted – in UNF Arena, they might be trading away the play-by-play guy soon. I mean, who else should they trade away?
Yeah.
What would you trade away, Leonard Fournette?
No. See, no. You cannot get power hungry here, and you cannot literally have a fire sale going on, Brent. Because once again, my point: Leonard Fournette is a draft pick. He's a guy that you did your due diligence on. You brought him to the team and said, you know what, this guy has the future to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. And if you keep on cutting your draft picks and you keep on trying to just build through free agency, it's not going to work, man. So I think Leonard Fournette going forward, and I get it, man. He's the running back position, right? We're always kind of uneasy in the running back position because how much do you really pay him going forward when he becomes a free agent? Do you sign the fifth-year deal, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you cannot knock the fact he's a high draft pick on your team that you brought in, that people look up to. So in my opinion, you have to keep him.
Yeah, but you might only have him for a year. And of course, you do have the fifth-year option.
You have the fifth-year option, yeah. Well, I mean, listen.
Anybody else? So let me just ask you. Yeah. Anybody? Maybe Fournette, it doesn't fit it for you, but I mean, certainly he might be a guy that goes in that office and I want out. Everybody else getting out, I want out.
And let's be honest, he has kind of shown some of that stuff on social. I mean, how much you want to look into it. He's indicated some stuff.
He's cryptically said that he might want to go.
Yeah.
And you could see it, by the way. He certainly fits the stereotype right now of a Jags player that would say, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, he certainly fits that. So who else? I don't see receivers. Could a lineman? I mean, is it Norwell go in there and say, again, these are quiet asks. I'm not talking about they're going to go on social media like Jan did and said, I want out.
Sure.
But I think most of this could be quiet asks and say, hey, man, we don't want to be a part of this. But I think Foles is certainly an option because of his playing time. I think, and his role on the team now, well, I shouldn't say now, that it's not official, but in my mind it is. And then Fournette, certainly. And maybe Calais. Maybe Calais says, listen, man, I want to win. I don't want to rebuild again. He actually indicated that to me in our interview when we sat down at the end of the season. He's like, if I were to go to a team or if I had to go to a team, I don't want to go start over. Well, he might be on a team that's kind of starting over.
Well, and to be fair, man, and he could be a casualty going forward, but Avery Jones is another guy who's been in Jacksonville for a long time, and he's seen a lot. I mean, I played with the guy. Right?
I think they would more be like, hey, I don't want to be here, cut him. I'm not sure they could trade anything.
No, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, guys that would ask to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't fault Avery. I mean, Avery's had to endure a lot of suffering here in Jacksonville. He's the longest tenured Jaguar. Why wouldn't you want to leave someplace else? Because I think he still has a lot to offer and try to go win a championship and try to go have some success.
If somebody, the Baltimore Ravens, the give me another team, Buffalo Bills,
okay,
the New York Giants, anybody gives Dave Caldwell a call in the next few days and says, hey, I just saw that you got rid of Boye for a 4th-round pick. I'm willing to give up a 3rd-round pick for Calais Campbell.
No dice. Absolutely not. No.
Is there any pick? I mean, you just said, is there a second-round pick?
I mean, obviously, if I want to be the GM, play the GM, yeah, give me a first-round pick and let's see what happens, right? Because
you're not getting a first-round pick.
I know, exactly. But you got to remember, Brent, like with Calais Campbell, yes, he's probably on the back nine of his career. Yes, he regressed last year a little bit. But you cannot, like, if you want to salvage your season a little bit, and if you're Dave Caldwell, you're Doug Marrone, and you're trying to win this season and try to save your jobs, then you cannot throw away your pillars on the team. Calais Campbell is the pillar of the Jacksonville Jaguars locker room. He is the guy. You lost A.J. Boye. You might lose Yannick Ngakoue. There's really nobody left, Brent, okay? Miles Jack doesn't know what position he's going to play next year. Calais Campbell is the only constant right now in that defense and really in that locker room. So, no, you got to protect Calais Campbell at all costs, in my opinion.
All right. Just a scenario.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
You got a little emotional.
I know. I got a little triggered for a second.
This is why you got to keep emotion out of this.
I know,
man. Business.
I know, man. Well, listen, I know what a winning locker room looks like, man, and I feel like if you let go of Calais Campbell, you're going to have a lot more issues going forward, especially with a team that has struggled with maturity lately.
But my point being, if he starts seeing other stuff around, is it fair for Calais Campbell to go in and say, guys, listen, I'm at the back side of this thing.
Yeah.
I want to go win. I mean,
sure.
You guys, we're not keeping Jan. We're not keeping AJ. We don't have 90% of the defense we had for the last 3 years that we built this thing around.
Well,
we don't know who our quarterback is. You might get rid of Foles and not even give him a chance. Who knows what Leonard Fournette wants to do? I don't know if I want to be a part of that either. I don't want at this stage of it be part of a rebuild. Can you get me out of here? I mean, is that fair for him to say?
No, absolutely. Listen, I think Calais Campbell does love this city. I think he does love the organization. I think he's had to deal with a lot in his career, and the fact that, he's always been a constant professional just shows what kind of guy he is. But let's be honest here, Brent. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you go after Derek Brown at the number 9 pick, you bring in a 3 technique in the first round, what is Calais Campbell going to think? He's going to think, well, there goes my reps. There goes some of my playing time. So, yeah, if you're Calais Campbell, listen, I'm not going to ever fault him for if he said, you know what, either you pay me when I'm getting paid and I'm still the guy going forward or let me go. I'm not going to fault Calais Campbell for that, man. Regardless of what he means to the team, because I can see where he's coming from. The last thing you want to do if you're Calais Campbell is see the number 9 pick of a first-round guy, a defensive tackle coming in. I get it, man. You need to have your rotational stuff like that, but it just goes to show you that they're kind of forgetting about you and they're going a younger direction.
Yeah. Let's wrap up the corner talk with A.J. Boye and hear from Doug Marrone on what he had to say last week about the corner situation. Now, keep in mind, this is when A.J. Boye was on the football team. He no longer will be when the league year starts on March 18th. He's been traded away or will be traded away to the Denver Broncos for a 4th-round pick. Here's Doug Marrone, the head coach of the Jags.
Really did a nice job. I mean, you look at the end of the year, we got, Perry's out there who's never been out there. It was his first time playing, and, they throw that deep ball and he's able to run, and we know he can run. So I think we're going to have a lot of competition at that position. I think that some of those guys, were able to play. You feel a whole lot more comfortable as a coach if you watch the guy play in a game and watched how he reacted, how he prepared, how he, what he had to do during that week, to go out there. So, Trey Herndon, I think, who would have guessed, really? In the beginning of the year, of the type of year, that he would have. And, we've got some other guys that we weren't able to see, put them out there. but I like them. I think we got some length, we got some speed. So I'm excited to see how these guys come back, you know what I'm saying, and how they compete.
Well, that's Doug Marrone at the Combine in Indianapolis. The one thing that registered with me from the Combine is the fact that Doug Marrone's like, hey, there's a better energy in the building than there is outside the building.
Yeah.
Last 2 days, can you still say the same? Do you really feel that way if you're inside the building? I mean, let's be honest here. What do you think genuinely is going on? Yannick has laid the hammer. A.J. Boye, who is one of your veteran guys, that the Conleys, Calais', A.J.'s of the world that we said, hey, this locker room needs those guys. Well, now he's going to be gone too. So it's been an uphill battle. You're fighting, you're chasing. And I say that all the time about the Jags now. I've said it a couple times on the show. It feels like they're chasing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about a Lombardi trophy. They're chasing their own tail at times because some of the mistakes they've made, or now because of the culture that was built, the moves that have been made where players have said, I want out. So you're chasing. Ultimately, you're chasing that quarterback situation, which they've been doing now for more than a decade here in Jacksonville. And when you're chasing, I think you expose yourself to possibly making more mistakes. And the mistakes are bigger when you're chasing than when you're out in front. And I think that's just kind of the way the Jags organization has been, whether it's everybody down there's fault or some of everybody's down their fault. It's reality.
The thing that I agree with you there, Brent, but the thing that I dislike right now where the Jaguars are sitting, and I get it, you get a 4th-round pick for A.J. Boye, that's better than nothing, I understand that. I wanted to use this draft a little bit, your draft capital and free agency, just to build around Gardner Minshew, right? Because if we think Gardner Minshew's the guy, then build around him and see what you really truly have, right? Because right now you need a tight end, maybe another receiver, things like that. Well, right now I look at this defense, Brent, and I see some holes, man. Obviously, the cornerback position, there's a hole. The defensive end position, if Yannick's going to be gone, that's a hole. Linebacker position, there's holes there. So, to me, going into this offseason is going to be about, all right, let's give Gardner Minshew the confidence. Let's get him the tools to succeed. But right now, it's just, to me, it's trying to keep the boat afloat. It's trying to get the water out of the boat and make sure that you guys are still, barely breathing. And from that perspective, man, we'll see what these draft picks turn into. But there's a lot at stake right now, and the stakes have probably never been higher for this organization.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. I mean, I guess we can get like that a lot, and over the years probably said that a lot.
Yeah.
But it certainly feels like a crossroads. It's going to be, I know on the TV side I've already discussed it. We're already working on it. Some of the specials that we do. The theme of a lot of this year is the crossroads, because I think it's 2020. It's the crossroads of this franchise. It's the crossroads of this football team. It's the crossroads even of this city at times, in my opinion, because a lot, Jay, and other things that are happening in and around the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that is full go mode right now. It's a crossroads time for the Jacksonville Jaguars. When we come back, we'll put a bow on some of the Jags talk. We also have balling and falling to get to as well. And I do want to mention the baseball talk. I want to ask about the baseball mic'd up. Is that a one-time thing? Is that a spring training thing? Is that something we'll see more of? And does baseball have to open their eyes to it? Do the players have to be willing to do this for the growth of the game, for the good of the game, for their own branding, which, by the way, is awful relative to the NFL, the NBA, and heck, even the PGA Tour. Branding in big league baseball is absolutely awful. And this might be a quick fix for MLB and its players. We'll have that coming up from UNF Arena. We are live on the campus of the University of North Florida. River City Rumble Part 3 is a big one. Loser season is done. Winner advances to the semifinals of the A-Sun Tournament. You win 3 this week, you go dancing here in March. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly cloudy and mild tonight, dropping into the 60s. Partly to at times, mostly cloudy Wednesday, a few scattered showers, and temperatures topping out near 80 degrees. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where 0% financing for 5 years has been held over. Find out more at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hey, it's Goose from Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Now, I know there's a ton of ways you can listen to the show, but did you know one of the ways is through a smart speaker? Yes, the Google Home, the Amazon Alexa. It's pretty easy to do. Just tell either of them to play ESPN 690. Try it out weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m., and you can listen to Action Sports Jax.
Slip and falls can be embarrassing, leaving you in pain and feeling like you've lost control.
I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anna John Levine. After a fall, document the scene by taking photographs. Make sure to get medical attention for any injuries you may have. If you've been injured in a slip and fall, call the law offices of Anna John Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation. And take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
If you have been operating a small business but now need to grow and generate more revenue, SCORE can help you attract more customers. We offer free resources including mentoring, online webinars, and workshops. Since 1964, SCORE has helped more than 11 million entrepreneurs and small business owners. In Jacksonville, SCORE provides services to almost 6,000 individuals annually. Find out more about how SCORE can assist your business by visiting jacksonville.score.org.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
Reason number 52 to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler. Only Diamonds Direct gives you a 110% diamond upgrade guarantee. Let us explain. If you buy a diamond at Diamonds Direct today and decide in the future you want to upgrade to a larger diamond, Diamonds Direct will give you 110% of your original purchase price toward the new stone. For example, let's say you bought her a $5,000 diamond last year, but now she wants to upgrade to a $6,000 diamond. Diamonds Direct will give you $5,500 towards the new one. That's 10% more than you paid the first time. Guaranteed appreciation. Whether that first diamond was $3,000 or $30,000, you get 10% more. And unlike other stores who claim to offer diamond upgrades, at Diamonds Direct, there's no fine print and no minimum purchase requirement. It's 10% more, period. Come and discover real value and buy with confidence. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Off Town Center Parkway, just left of the Hyatt. Official jeweler of the Jaguars.
The players will welcome all military and spouses to TPC Sawgrass on Saturday, March 7 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. to participate in its 8th annual military job fair. 50 companies will be on hand looking to hire. It's 6 days until the players.
Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air. When it's hot, we turn on the AC. When it's colder, we flip on the heat. But are you getting the best value with your system? Hey, everyone, this is Brent Mortno. Insulation is an important part of comfort and efficiency in your home. At Bold City Heating and Air, they offer free consultations and quotes on your insulation. Call 904-379-1648 or check out boldcityac.com. 5-star reviews on Facebook and Google. Be bold, Jacksonville, with Bold City Heating and Air.
Say hello to your new secret advertising weapon, your own branded mobile phone number. Star Mobile provisions vanity mobile numbers prefixed by Star, providing audiences an easy way to reach your business. Give it a try now by dialing Star Mobile from your mobile phone. That's Star Mobile.
After a long day, having my dogs meet me at the door with their silly smiles and wagging tails makes me happy. I want to keep that joy with me for years to come. That's why I trust Forever Vets Animal Hospital to keep my pets healthy. Forever Vets was voted 2019's Best Vet in Jacksonville Magazine's Readers Poll, and it's easy to see why. The affordable wellness plans are tailored to meet all of your pet's changing needs as they grow. Open 7 days a week, Forever Vet's friendly staff is available to treat you and your pet with care. They combine extended hours with online booking to allow you to give your pet quality care while accommodating your schedule. Go online to forevervets.com to find which of their 8 offices is nearest you. And don't forget the newest location in Riverside, Forever Vets Animal Hospital, keeping your pets happy and healthy forever.
ESPN 690 welcomes Blackberry Smoke to Daly's Place on August 22nd. Visit the contest page on ESPN690.com now and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the show. Blackberry Smoke live with ESPN 690.
Now, back to Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and in the TuneIn Radio app.
Hey, I'm standing at the crossroads.
Oh, you had him! Get down! Dang it! Foul!
What was that?
Fastball. And now I'm tired. It's my first time swinging at the first pitch all spring, too.
Kuz, bigger than Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant mic'd up. What is this?
The
Crossroads. Very nice.
Country Joe McDonald.
I'm a country guy, and I've never heard of this.
So is the guy's name Country Joe McDonald, or is it Joe McDonald sing country music?
I think it's Country Joe McDonald.
That's his name? Like that's like a stage name? Hey, Joe McDonald, we get it. You sing country music. I can tell. I can guess that in 2 seconds. So we don't need the reminder you sing country music.
We don't need alternative music Blink-182.
Yeah, like I don't listen to rap Lil Wayne. Like I get what Lil Wayne's all about. He's got Lil in his name, bro.
Very true. All right. Oh, speaking of, I wanted to ask you about this. Should we say ball a fallen? I'll hold it.
I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Okay.
I'll hold it. No, we'll get to it all.
Okay.
I got one more thing on the Jags, then we're going to get to a myriad of stuff before the end of the show. Are the Jags all of a sudden in that building saying, hey, we believe this was, let's go win this thing right now. Shad Khan sitting there on his Kismet or wherever saying, hey, this was win now. We can get to this place faster if we do it this way. And now all of a sudden they're circling the wagons and saying, we got 10 picks. Let's see who else we can trade away. Like there's a tweet, trade rumors, I don't even know what it is, but they said Norwell and Linder and Calais Campbell. I mean, I think people are just throwing names.
Yeah.
But do you change course and say, listen, the Jan move triggered some of this? A.J. Boye, we didn't know we were going to get a 4th-round pick in return, but we did. We were thinking of maybe having to cut him or trying to rework his deal. Maybe they do get something for one more of these guys. And do they say, or they don't have to announce it, but internally do they say, all right, it's on. It's on maybe sooner than we thought, but we could now flip this thing if we could trade a couple of these guys away, and we could end up with all this draft capital and quickly a lot of money in our cap. We could change it like that if people are willing to trade for guys like Calais, trade for guys like Norwell, and trade for guys like Linder, if that were to happen.
This is the weird thing about it, though, Brent. If you're Shad Khan, I'm sure you would say, why not? You know, like, let's plan for the future. Let's play the long game. But you can't afford to do that, man, because you kept Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell for a reason. And, like, unless you just plan on, like, transitioning out with, Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell, like, dude, if I'm Doug Marrone right now, like, what are you thinking about, Brent? Like, if you're losing all your guys nonstop, what are you thinking right now going into the season?
9 months to sell my house.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think from that perspective, man, where I get it. Shad Khan calls all the shots. You're the owner. You have the money for a reason. I understand that point. But if I'm Dave Caldwell, if I'm Doug Marrone, man, yeah, I get it. Maybe trading Calais Campbell for a 2nd-round pick or whatever it is, that would look good for the future. But we can't afford the future right now because I'm trying to win right now. I'm trying to salvage a job. So, once again, in terms of communication, we have to make sure that Shad Khan, Dave Caldwell, and Doug Marrone are all on the same page because that's where they ran into problems in the past. And I just think right now, where the Jaguars are sitting, I think they're going to try their best to try to make this thing work for this season, not just have a fire sale and sell everybody off.
Also, one other thing. Do the Jags have more decent players to work with than we're giving them credit for? So, say they don't move anybody else right now. and you started on your defense and you had Calais, Taven Bryan, Avery Jones, Yannick Ngakoue, assuming he plays under the franchise tag. And you have that. Now, you know you need some help there, but you got a draft to do it, and you got free agency, so keep that in mind. You have Miles Jack. You have Quincy Williams, who's played a little bit. You don't know what he is necessarily. You have Ronnie Harrison, and you have Jared Wilson, and you have Trey Herndon that you like, you think you like. Again, you have missing holes there. You have to add to it, but you've got 10 draft picks, and you do have some money to be able to do it. Offensively, you like your offensive line. At least that's what you've indicated. You have 2 quarterbacks. We know which way you're going. You have DJ Chark and Dede Westbrook and Chris Conley, who you brought back. You're vacant at the tight end spot. So can the Jags still do a little bit of both, where they can be competitive? And I'm not talking rip it down to be 1-15 and 2-14, but kind of do this transition where you might be able to give up these guys, which they are obviously doing to a degree.
Yeah.
And still be competitive. I mean, do you like some of the pieces they have, even though it's not in totality what you would like to have?
Sure. And listen, this is the NFL offseason, right? So every team's going to have question marks. So from that standpoint, what I see right now on paper, I don't mind it, right? Like, obviously, you can upgrade an offensive lineman. I think the selling point would be a left tackle, depending on how injured Cam Robinson was last year. So there's the question mark on the offense. But overall, we got to ask ourselves this one thing, like, how many question marks can you afford to have right now? Because Yannick Ngakoue, question mark. Calais Campbell right now, question mark. Taven Bryan, how good is he going to be going forward? That's a question mark. Is Avery Jones going to be back? Question mark. What position's Miles Jack going to play? Question mark. How good is Quincy Williams going to be? Because he didn't do that well his rookie year, and he's a Murray State guy. I want to see him do well. But let's be honest, he got benched a couple times. Question mark. Secondary in terms of Trey Herndon, is he the guy going forward? Question mark. And as far as the safeties are concerned, I think the safeties are probably the only constant right now on your defense.
You know what you have. Are you dynamic? Are you great there? Probably not. But do you know what you have?
But you know what? You're not worried about it for the most part. So what did I just – I went through about
That's a lot of question marks.
9, 10 question marks, Brent?
That's a lot of question marks.
I mean, the answer is the question right there, dude.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if their methodology changes, their thinking changes. Again, they're not going to tell us that.
Sure.
But one more move indicates that. One more move. Calais traded away. Linder, Norwell traded away. One of those kind of moves.
Yeah.
Fournette. Take one of those 4 guys, and one move like that means an exit. To me, that indicates, okay, we know what's going on here. We understand it. We see the writing on the wall. We have pivoted. They're not going to say it in front of a microphone, but they would have pivoted. If one more of those pieces goes, instead of adding, they would now be subtracting to compile.
So 2 things. Number 1, yes, if you do lose Calais Campbell, if you do lose Leonard Fournette, then yeah, because anytime you start sacrificing the leadership in that locker room for draft picks going forward in the future, then the writing's on the wall. Then it's apparent that, you know what, you guys are not concerned about this season. You're in it for the long haul. I get that. My question to you, Brent, let's say maybe Calais Campbell does generate interest and the Jacksonville Jaguars get presented with an opportunity that they cannot pass up. Let's say that there's a team on the cusp right now that's looking for a running back that trades for Leonard Fournette, and then once again the Jaguars get an opportunity that they can't pass up, okay? If you're Shad Khan and you look at Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell and you see what's transpiring this offseason, all this draft capital, which means big time for the future, right? Like, you're planning for the future. If you're Shad Khan, do you still hold Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell to the coals and say you guys got to win at least 8 games this season to have success? Or do you go, you know what, I get it. I mean, you guys got to win this season, but I see what we have now in capital. I see what we have going forward. And do you actually try to keep them another year, and are they going to be safe for another year?
I would say this. I would say, you know what, I don't owe you anything. I gave you maybe 2 lives, and that means with that comes about $5 million the last couple of years in money that I've paid you. And I'm still going to potentially pay you for another year to walk away. So I don't think he owes them anything else in that regard. And I also think people can change their minds. And, again, they don't have to say it, but he might say it at the end of the year and be like, hey, you know what? We got 7 wins out of this group, and we redid everything. Yep. We found our quarterback. We like it better than the options. I don't think they would. I think, again, the squeeze is on. Yep. You know, it doesn't matter. You know what they say, make chicken salad out of you-know-what. And if that's what they're tasked with, that's what they're tasked with. Yeah. And they have to balance, right, what's good for the organization going forward. Yeah. And I think it's fair to ask, depending, I still think there's one more move that would trigger this in my mind to say what's best for the organization now going forward is to clear as much cap space, compile as many draft picks, and start looking at 21, 22, 23. I think that would be clear as day if they make one more move. It could be Campbell. It could be Fournette. It could be Norwell. It could be Linder. Any one of those kind of guys, I think that are the foundation pieces of what they like on this team would indicate to me there's a strong pivot inside that building and the look toward down the road. All right, a couple things I want to get to. The baseball stuff. We've been listening to Bryant. We've been listening to Rizzo mic'd up yesterday. It was fantastic stuff. I know you've probably all heard it from by now. My question to you, can it happen? Should it happen? How much does baseball need it to happen? Because people are talking about it, man. Everybody today was talking about those guys mic'd up. It did so much for Major League Baseball in the last 24 hours, which, by the way, has been bruised by the Houston scandal. It did so much for the branding, the of who Bryant and Rizzo are.
Yeah.
And it also did a nice job for the ESPN platform, the announcers, the interaction there. So do we need more of it? Will we see more of it?
We definitely need more of it. We need to showcase players' personalities, and that's a great way to do it. Will we get more of it? I have a hard time believing that, unfortunately, because let's analyze the world that we live in right now, Brent. We fire baseball coaches who swear on buses, okay? And we terminate their jobs because of it. Imagine you're sitting down with your little one or whatever, and you're watching a Major League Baseball game, and I get there's maybe a 5-second delay, but you only get so many of them, man, and I just feel like, having the all-access standpoint, a la MLB, I just think that it could end bad, especially during a heated game, especially if a player is mad and everything like that, and you give them the all-access. I just think from a sponsorship standpoint, it could leave a black eye a little bit in Major League Baseball. I don't have a problem with that, but I know a lot of people, obviously, in the year 2020 that would have a problem with some of the language and some of this, the foul stuff.
Here's what I would do, okay? I got an idea, and I don't know if this even makes all the sense in the world, but work off this.
Okay.
I would not make that a live element, but I would employ someone, if I was ESPN or MLB Network or any of the networks, that handled that part of it and talked to these guys during the game. But I record that separately. So, therefore, I can then take out any swearing or anything else that might black eye the whole idea of doing it. Because it only takes one thing to go wrong.
Of course.
And then you're like, oh, this was a bad idea.
Yes.
And so I would do that because unless there's a delay or there's another way to do it, but I would be careful of that, especially in real games that are intense, games that matter. But the other thing I would do is I would pick, kind of like they did yesterday, they picked the Chicago Cubs. I would pick one team and put them on a rotation. Mm-hmm. So that's one team a month. So you're doing it once a month.
Not mad at that.
For 6 months. So you do it 6 times. That's it. You don't even have to do the other team. Just do one team, and a different guy wears it every inning. Or a guy wears it for 2, and you designate. And they don't even have to always be playing. So I think there's a way to do it. And I think there's a way to do it reasonably, and I highlight that game, and I push that on social media, and I blow it up for the platform of baseball and the branding of baseball and the branding of that team and the branding of the players. Sooner or later, we might see teams do it themselves. Yeah. They all own their own TV channels, essentially, so they might do it themselves. But I thought it was fantastic, and Major League Baseball has to figure something out, because if we're all reacting this way about it, and we're not all – I am, but not everybody's diehard baseball fan. Well, then you need to give us more than that. That's who you're asking. You're not after me. You're after you. You want you to pay attention to baseball.
Sure.
You want my kids to pay attention to baseball. They enjoyed it. Oh, one other last thing about it. The great thing that baseball does, in baseball players, I think, in Major League Baseball, more than NFL, NBA, and everywhere else, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my belief, stories are king, just like the record books. But, there's nothing better than listening to – once I did an interview with Lou Brock, and he came in and told stories, man, and stories about big league baseball 30, 40, 50 years ago.
When I'm listening to Brewer games, man, I listen to Bob Uecker, obviously. Why? Because that guy has so many stories, man. It's always entertaining. I love listening to him.
The stories of baseball are amazing, right?
Sure.
How it was done in the day, what we used to do in the day. And you know what? Rizzo and Bryant, 2 young guys, but have played for a little bit, showcased that. They were telling stories about the hotel and about the aliases they used and about getting ejected. That stuff was fantastic. It was actually way better than the dig on the Houston Astros that went viral.
Yeah.
And so I think baseball does that probably better than anybody. Listen, all sports do it.
Yep.
But I think baseball stories are cool because people sit around the batting cage, and Don Zimmer would tell stories.
Yeah.
Right? Joe Torre now tells stories. Derek Jeter will now tell stories as he gets older. Alex Rodriguez. We love that about baseball. And I might be biased, but I believe baseball does that better than anybody. Well, we witnessed it yesterday in the dugout. Wouldn't it be cool to hear more of those kind of stories? And it doesn't have to be this wild, crazy TMZ story. Just a cool story inside a locker room, on the field, or reminiscing about your Little League days.
Well, and that's exactly what you need from the game of baseball, Brent, right? Because in football and basketball, you always have these highlight reel plays. You have these monster ducks. You have these crazy touchdowns. You have these crazy hits. Like, those are always going to be there for the sport of, basketball and football. With baseball, yeah, you got home runs. You got double plays. You got the web gems, everything like that. But it's more of a slower pace type of sport. So from that perspective, if you can hear those stories while you're watching, if you can kind of, just go behind the scenes a little bit and be transparent with the sport, well, that's going to kind of help her, it's going to help the viewing experience of having it going so slow, right? Especially if it's not a team that you're cheering for. Especially if you're a casual observer and you're just watching two teams that you don't know a lot about. But if you have some behind-the-scenes details that's going to captivate you, that's going to keep you on the line and wanting more.
Absolutely. All right, let's do ballin' and fallin' real quick. I'm going to say ballin'. Several honors in the A-Sun awards came out today. David Bell from Jacksonville University, Defensive Player of the Year. There were other honors for Jacksonville University, and same goes for the University of North Florida, who will meet here tonight in the quarterfinals of the A-Sun. Coach of the Year, co-coach of the year from Matthew Driscoll, done a tremendous job. 20-win season, a record 13 A-Sun wins, co-champions of the A-Sun. So congratulations to all the award winners. Two good basketball teams. Ospreys are a favorite here tonight. They've beaten JU twice. They had the better season. They have the better team. And we'll see if they can get it done on the home floor. JU will try to pull the upset. I will say this, Wajid Aminu, who's a senior for UNF, I was surprised he didn't make it the first team, second team, or third team, and Bell outdid him for Defensive Player of the Year. I got a feeling, look out for number 2 for UNF tonight. Wajid Aminu will probably be motivated all week long if his team makes it that far, because I know his teammates are. They thought Wajid Aminu would win that award, career leader in blocks here at the University of North Florida. Remember, he was the guy that Coach shared with us last week and said had more blocks than some teams combined in the A-Sun here this season.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got a good one tonight, 7 p.m., and check out the game on ESPN+. I'll have the call along with Lee Moon Jr., and that one goes at 7 o'clock, the A-Sun quarterfinals. March Madness is here, especially in Jacksonville.
Hey, Kuz, you got some audio for me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So check this out, Brent. Senior night, Jackson State.
I love it.
Thomas Snacks Lee, the team's student manager, decided to get a little playing time as his team was up big. Once again, he's a team manager, and they call him Snacks for a reason. I get that the camera probably adds about 30 pounds. Not exaggerating, this guy probably weighs around 330 then, okay? This is a big boy on the court. He takes 3 3-pointers, misses them horribly, takes a 4th 3-pointer, and listen to the reaction from the announcer and his team as he, let's see what happens in this 4th 3-point shot.
Jags is in this game, man. With 2:05 to go, Thomas Lee in the ball game for Jackson State.
Jonas James is trying to get it to him. Jonas James gets it to him again.
Here's Snacks with 3. Snacks busted. Snacks hits the 3. Snacks. Watch down the ball.
That's awesome.
Snacks.
Snacks, man.
I want to do that. I
Big
wish somebody
boy.
was called Snacks here, man.
Hey,
I need a nickname.
Does Jackson State have a football team? Because seriously, man, this guy has got nose tackle written all over him.
I
Just
love
saying.
those stories, man. Those are awesome
Yeah.
stories. They don't get old. Very cool stuff there at Jackson State. All right, how about Fallen? Can it be Spike Lee?
Okay.
Or the Knicks? Did you see this whole thing?
I didn't see this. Hit me with
Kuz,
it.
I've just seen it on like the periphery. But the Knicks had to issue issued a statement about Spike Lee, who's not going to any more Knicks games this year, right?
Oh,
it's interesting. He
It's that bad.
He turned it into a whole I'm not going because the Knicks stink thing. But it started because the team told him he can't use their entrance into the stadium anymore.
And how about this? Stephen A. Smith had him on today, and somehow it came out that he has spent $9 million in 30 years on Knicks tickets.
Wow.
Unbelievable. The Knicks issued a statement. The idea that Spike Lee is a victim because we have repeatedly asked him to not use our employee entrance and instead use a dedicated VIP entrance, which is used by every other celebrity who enters the Garden, is laughable. It's disappointing that Spike would create this false controversy to perpetuate drama. He is welcome to come to the Garden anytime via the VIP or general entrance, just not through our employee entrance, which is what he and Jim agreed to last night when they shook hands.
I'll tell you right now, anybody who spends $9 million on my team, you can use any entrance you want.
I know it, man.
And let's
you
be
can have
honest,
a seat
man.
on the bench. Well, he kind of does.
This is Spike Lee, though, right? Like, I mean, he is the New York Knicks. Like, that guy's got history. He should be in the NBA Hall of Fame if he's not already. Like, man.
Hey, this is what I want to.
Knicks, what are you guys doing?
I might put this down out in a poll, and we didn't get to it earlier in the show. But do you remember Spike Lee? Like, do you know Spike Lee because of his affiliation with the Knicks as a fan, with Just Do It? No, just what is it? Was it?
Oh, Mars
Blackman.
Blackman.
I was thinking Just Do It.
He's talking about
Yes,
Jordan,
Mars
though, right?
Blackman.
Yeah.
And
Mars Blackman.
or just his movie presence.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what do you associate with him at? For me, it's like I see him in a Knicks jacket courtside. Like,
Absolutely.
that's what it is. Like,
yeah.
I can't even get the slogan right. That's how much I.
No. I mean, listen, I do. Because kind of the Jordan commercials a little before my time. I was pretty young when they came out. I'm also reminded a little bit of obviously Ray Allen, Milwaukee Bucks. He got game. So, dude, but the guy's a renaissance man. Like, he's so talented. You can't do that guy like that. And real quick, Brent, my phone. I'm gonna whisper it because I'm not sure if this is a joke or not. But Fallen is going to go to Christian Yelich's agent, who supposedly Christian Yelich is going to sign a contract with Milwaukee Brewers for $200 million. Nobody tell Christian Yelich he's one of the best baseball players in the game. He could probably get $300 million. No one tell him that. Big day for the Milwaukee Brewers if this is indeed true. Just saying.
He made the microphone sound like that. He was whispering.
I was trying to whisper.
Hey,
it's kind of loud.
You're off to Dallas for the rest of the week. Good luck with your fight, man.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll be watching.
Yes, sir.
And go get a win.
Sounds good. We'll see you Monday.
All right, safe
Cool.
travels as well. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll have the UNFJU highlights coming up tonight on the TV side, CBS 47 and Fox 30, and the rest of the day in sports, including more on the big trade for the Jaguars that will go down when the league year begins. A.J. Boye going to the Denver Broncos for a 4th-round pick. Have a good night. Thanks for listening, everybody.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz.
I think what we have to remember here is that we all define MVP differently. What does MVP mean? Most valuable is a very gray area. Putting best player in as MVP, and I don't know that they're the same thing because ultimately right now, arguably the best player in the NBA is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
First Take, Your Take with Jason Fitz from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I'm calling all hockey fans. The Jacksonville Icemen are at home this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks. And if you've never experienced the intensity and excitement of a Jacksonville Icemen's game, well, you better step your game up and take it from me. This is an experience that you don't want to miss. The Icemen take on the Florida Everblades this Friday, the Atlanta Gladiators this Saturday, and the Greenville Swamp Rabbits this Sunday.